Meet Nekozane, the girl who has turned sleeping in class into a professional sport. For her seat neighbor, Seno, she's a constant, slumbering presence. The teacher is practically losing his mind trying to wake her, but she's a fortress of sleep. Seno watches from the side, noting that in 3 days he hasn't even seen her face once. Then comes the request from hell. The teacher tells Seno that since he's sitting right next to her, he's the one who needs to wake her up. Seno's brain practically shuts down. He has to actually talk to someone? For Seno, this isn't just a task, it's a nightmare. He's been painfully timid since childhood, and the idea of reminding a girl to wake up feels like an impossible mountain to climb. Even his friend Takada finds the situation hilarious over the phone. To Takada, Seno's struggle with his own personality is basically a comedy show. Seno actually tried to upgrade himself for high school with hair wax and contacts, but the nerves were so intense he ended up in the nurse's office on day 1. A total disaster of a debut. Despite the mockery, a bit of genuine encouragement from his friend helps Seno steady himself. His high school life is just starting, and maybe, just maybe, it'll be okay. With a new resolve to make friends, Seno heads back to the classroom, only to find it eerily empty. He's left standing there in total confusion. Then it hits him. The next class is in a different room. He looks over and sees Nekozane still dead to the world. Gathering every ounce of courage, he leans in to wake her. He finally manages to get her attention, but he wasn't prepared for the reaction. In one sudden blurred motion, she lunges forward and wraps him in a hug that leaves him completely breathless. A sudden movement breaks the silence. The boy is completely blindsided as the girl lunges forward, leaving him breathless and utterly confused. For the first time, he finally sees her face clearly. It's a moment of pure revelation that leaves him stunned in her arms. She whispers a name, Masamune, before the moment is violently cut short. With a loud slam, she face plants onto the desk and instantly falls fast asleep. Left in the wake of her sudden departure, the boy is a blushing mess. He's completely rattled, his mind racing as he tries to process what just happened. He can't stop obsessing over that name, Masamune Shiratama. In a desperate attempt to make sense of it, he starts sketching a ridiculous samurai character, wondering if that's who she was talking about. The day ends with more questions than answers, especially since Nekozane-san vanished from class. While walking home, a sign for a rescue cat cafe catches his eye, sparking a sudden curiosity. He's barely stepped inside when a familiar voice calls out to him. He turns around to find Nekozane-san standing right there, catching him completely off guard. An awkward invitation leads him right into the cat cafe. Surrounded by fluffy cats, he can't help but wonder about the side of Nekozane-san he just witnessed, a side he's never seen before. Just as he's questioning his order, she leans in, her face inches from his. Her voice is a low murmur as she asks the one thing that makes his heart race. Did he just say her name? The tension breaks into a clumsy conversation about how they're classmates who sit right next to each other. But then she drops another bombshell, calling him Masamune and asking about a snack, leaving him utterly bewildered once again. Minato's brain is spiraling. As he watches Nekozane cuddle a cat, he can't help but wonder, did she hug him before because she mistook him for a cat? Then she drops a bombshell. Cats are noble creatures superior to humans. Suddenly the quiet girl is a chatterbox, introducing her crew Masamune, Shiratama, and the vomit-prone Kanako. But when she denies that the work is rough, she gives him a look so gentle it practically freezes him in place. Minato's never seen her make an expression like that. The moment is cut short as they leave the rescue cat cafe. Nekozane begs him to keep her secret job hidden, but as she walks away, Minato's instincts kick in. He stops her, though he has absolutely no idea what to say. Panic mode engaged. He blurts out a formal self-introduction that makes him want to disappear on the spot, but Nekozane just smiles and hands him a cocoa. Consider this a hush fee, seat neighbor-kun. With a playful shush, she leaves him stunned with a new nickname. Back home, Minato is on a mission. He calls his friend, Takada, desperate to know the secret to getting along with people, because there's someone he's suddenly very interested in. He describes her, the cat-like habits, the big eyes, and that rare kind expression. He tells himself he just wants to be friends, if he can even manage that. Takada doesn't buy it for a second. He drops the truth bomb. This isn't friendship, it's love. Minato is in total denial, but the seed has been planted. Next morning, the tension is real. Minato slides open the classroom door and takes a leap of faith, calling out to her, "Hey, Nekozane-san." Minato kicks things off with a bright good morning, but the girl's reaction is a total blank. She asks who he is, forcing him to introduce himself all over again. He's just relieved she remembers something from yesterday, even if it's barely anything. He's strategizing now, knowing he needs to start a real conversation but having absolutely no clue how. Then a light bulb goes off, maybe showing her this will be the perfect icebreaker to finally break the silence. The tension is killing him. His heart is hammering against his ribs as he battles his own social anxiety, telling himself that nothing will change if he just keeps waiting around. He finally snaps. With a burst of desperate courage, he shoves a drawing of a cute pirate character in her face, practically screaming his desire to show her his art. And just like that, his courage is crushed. She takes one look at his masterpiece and delivers a brutal deadpan blow. That looks ugly. Total defeat. As he watches her drift right back to sleep, a cloud of gloom settles over him. He's left wondering if becoming friends is even a possibility, or if he's just shouting into the void. This is his daily reality. Nekozane-san is the class's professional napper, ignored or yelled at by everyone else. But for Minato, she's the one person he's determined to get close to. He realizes he's been chasing a complete mystery. He knows her as Nekozane, but then it hits him like a ton of bricks. He doesn't even know her first name. Panic sets in as he imagines the absolute disaster of asking her directly and getting shut down. But then a stroke of genius strikes. The class journal should hold all the answers. He dives into the journal, certain he'll find it in the duty logs. But Nekozane is consistent in her laziness. She only writes her last name and a 3-word reflection on the weather. Even in the official records, she remains a mystery. Minato is determined to find out Nekozane's first name, but the reality of social norms hits him hard. It's just not that common. As he walks home in a daze, a sudden meow breaks his train of thought. He finds a friendly little stray and decides to play a guessing game with its name. Tama Mike? Then he tries Mugi and the cat actually answers. Minato is absolutely floored that the cat is responding to him. But he's not alone. Nekozane has appeared out of nowhere, watching the scene with a quiet curiosity. Minato's heart practically skips a beat. Where did she even come from? Is she a ninja? Before he can process the shock, she drops a revelation. This isn't just any stray, it's a Sakura cat. She points out the small clip in the cat's ear, explaining that it's a sign of sterilization to save the animal's life. The technical explanation is helpful, but the mention of cats being put down leaves Minato feeling heavy. Nekozane suddenly pivots to a deep, slightly sulky rant about the unfairness of cat population control. Minato is left blinking in confusion at her intensity, before spiraling into his own anxiety. Was it weird for him to just name the cat Mugi? He looks for reassurance, but she doesn't give any. With a blunt kind of, she confirms his fears. Minato's confidence vanishes instantly. Then comes the bombshell. Mugi is actually her first name. The realization hits Minato like a truck. He's been shouting her name at a cat. He descends into a total panic, apologizing for the awkwardness. As the shock wears off, Minato finally knows her secret. Her name is Mugi. She admits she's just not used to the intimacy of a first name, and as the cat leaps away, the two of them share a quiet, lingering moment. He's happy to finally know her better, but a cold realization settles in. Looking at her, he can't help but feel that while he's captivated, she doesn't seem to have any interest in him at all. A simple goodbye, but for Minato, it's a total system crash. As the girl waves him off with a "See you, Seno-kun," he's left frozen in place, completely blindsided. The tension peaks when she looks back to confirm his name, and Minato's voice betrays him with a legendary crack. He frantically confirms he's the one, while she can't help but notice. His voice is practically breaking under the pressure. He's floating on cloud 9 just because she remembers him, a victory so huge he can't even hide it at the dinner table. Even when questioned about his suspiciously good mood, he tries to play it cool, claiming he's just being his normal self. But the mission is clear. He wants to befriend his seat neighbor, Nekozane-san. The problem? He has nothing to talk about, and she spends most of her school life fast asleep. Then, the golden opportunity arrives. For once, she's actually awake, and she's focused on something on her phone. He lunges for the chance to start a conversation, blurting out a question about the video she's watching. The result? A single cold yes that brings the conversation to a screeching halt. Refusing to give up, he tries one more time, praying she's watching something cute like cat videos. When she actually responds, he's genuinely thrilled that the conversation is continuing. The answer is, a high-pressure washer? Minato's brain stalls as he tries to process her bizarre taste in videos, wondering what on earth she feels while watching dirty places get blasted clean. He tries to keep the momentum going by calling her taste rare, but the vibe hits a brick wall again. Another one-word yes leaves him struggling to find any common ground. Fast forward to that night, and it seems the curiosity won. Minato is now deep in the world of cleaning ASMR. Just as he's mesmerized by the high-pressure washing, a call from Takada interrupts his new obsession. Seno is caught in a total rabbit hole, spending 4 straight hours watching oddly satisfying videos of high-pressure washers and candy making. His brother's reaction is pure disbelief. Seriously, what is wrong with him? The conversation shifts to the girl from school, and Seno's mood instantly plummets. He's convinced he completely bombed their interaction, but a small spark of hope remains. He remembers her watching those same kinds of satisfying videos. Desperate for a conversation starter, Seno decides to dive deeper into these weird videos to find common ground. Even his brother is rooting for him now, though the support feels almost pitying. Morning arrives, and Seno puts his plan into action. He manages to muster up a nervous good morning to Nekozane as he steps into the classroom. It actually worked. Nekozane admits she checked out the videos and finds them strangely captivating. Seno's face lights up. He's finally found a way to connect. But the high doesn't last long. Nekozane quickly shuts him down, claiming the videos aren't even that interesting compared to cat videos. Just like that, Seno's excitement is crushed. Just as he's wishing for a hole to hide in, Nekozane suddenly leans in, dangerously close. She wants to show him a cat named Shiratama, leaving Seno completely frozen and breathless. Before he can even process the proximity, she shoves an earbud into his ear. She's so focused on the cat video that she doesn't even notice the absolute chaos she's causing in Seno's head. His heart is hammering so loud he can't even hear the video. He's practically short-circuiting from the closeness, wondering if she has any concept of personal space at all. She's completely oblivious, just wanting him to appreciate how adorable the cat is. Seno is just trying to survive the moment, stumbling through his words while she looks on with a playful, curious smile. Art class just got a lot more intimate. The teacher drops a bombshell assignment. Everyone must draw a portrait of their seat neighbor. Minato tries to play it cool, claiming he's looking forward to it, while Nekozane gives her usual short, mysterious response. As Minato begins to sketch, the air grows heavy. He finds himself mesmerized, noticing the delicate length of her eyelashes, only to realize the hilarious truth. She's not posing, she's fast asleep. Minato's drawing is literally just a portrait of a nap. He desperately begs her to wake up so he doesn't get her in trouble, but Nekozane wakes up just long enough to suggest he simply imagine her awake. Before he can even process that, she's already drifting back to sleep. Minato's imagination is a disaster, producing nothing but a squiggly mess. Seeing his struggle, Nekozane makes a deal. She'll stay awake for exactly 3 minutes. He just has to memorize her face in that window and fudge the rest. The clock starts now. Nekozane takes her seat and gives a blunt command. Take a good look and remember it. Minato is left completely speechless, caught in the sudden intensity of the moment. Up close, the pressure is overwhelming. As he stares into her eyes, Minato's brain practically shuts down, his face flushing as he struggles to maintain his composure. Just as he's focusing, the snooze button hits again. She's out cold before the 3 minutes are even up. Minato can only stare in disbelief at her absolute lack of interest in the lesson. Time's up, and it's time to switch. Now it's Nekozane's turn to draw, and she hits him with a gaze so piercing it feels like an attack. While Minato panics over her intensity, she's actually just desperate to finish quickly so she can go back to sleep. The silence between them is deafening. As they lock eyes, the tension builds until Minato completely disintegrates, breaking into a cold sweat under her unwavering stare. The ordeal finally ends with a massive gasp for air. Minato tries to explain his weird logic, comparing the tension to a scene in Spirited Away, but Nekozane shuts him down with a cold, simple not really, leaving him completely defeated. Nekozane's intense stare catches Seno completely off guard. Without warning, she points out a detail he's had since birth, moles on his eye and neck. She admits it's the first time she's ever noticed them, her gaze lingering as she continues to sketch him. It's such a small thing, but the air between them suddenly feels different. For Seno, this is anything but small. The realization that she's actually paying this much attention to him sends a wave of quiet happiness through his chest. But the mood flips instantly as he spirals into self-doubt, wondering if he's just disgusting. Then he catches sight of her long eyelashes, and he's gone again, desperately wishing he could know more about her. The art exchange is a total train wreck. While Nekozane's sketch is minimal, Seno's attempt at her is bizarre. He's left staring in horror, wondering why on earth he gave her 3 eyes. Enter a side of her he's never seen, the rescue cat Cafe Mew. In her apron, the usually distant Nekozane is a different person, softly giggling as a cat named Shiratama tickles her. It's pure feline bliss, until the scene shifts. A tenant's wanted sign appears, leaving a lingering question in the air. A week has passed, and Seno is fighting his own nature. For a guy who never initiated a conversation in middle school, a simple good morning to Nekozane is a massive personal victory. Her response is as sleepy as ever, but Seno freezes. Something is off, the vibe is different, and he can't figure out why. Then, the bombshell drops. Out of nowhere, Nekozane jolts him awake with a direct request for honesty. She looks him in the eye and asks the one question that changes everything. Do you have any thoughts about me? Minato takes a huge leap of faith, his heart racing as he asks Nekozane if she'd like to talk more. Then he goes all in, bowing deeply with a desperate plea. Will she be his friend? The silence is deafening. While Minato spirals into a panic, vividly imagining a cold rejection and a disgusting response, Nekozane is just completely lost for words, wondering what on earth she's supposed to say. Instead of a yes or no, Nekozane drops a total curveball, commenting that his habit of sleeping in class seems healthy. Minato is left absolutely baffled, while she lets out a sigh of relief, seemingly satisfied with her answer. The awkwardness lingers into the next morning, with Nekozane retreating back into her usual slumber. Noticing the harsh sunlight hitting her desk, Minato decides to do something kind and quietly closes the curtains to protect her sleep. But the moment the curtains shut, Nekozane's eyes snap open, catching him red-handed. Flustered and stumbling over his words, Minato quickly explains he was just trying to help. With a simple, distant "I see," Nekozane moves away, leaving Minato in a state of total confusion. As the school day ends and he collapses onto his bed at home, the weight of the interaction finally hits him. The spiral begins. Minato lies there in despair, convinced that her coldness is a sign that she can't stand him being near her. In his mind, there's only one conclusion: he's been totally rejected. He can't stop overthinking, racking his brain for what went wrong. Was it the morning greeting? Did he unknowingly hurt her? He tosses and turns in agony, shivering at the thought of his own mysterious failure. The guilt is eating him alive. He wants to apologize, but the fact that he doesn't even know what he did wrong makes it even worse. Now, he's terrified of how he's even supposed to look her in the eye tomorrow. Meanwhile, at a rescue cat cafe, the truth starts to surface. As Nekozane handles the cats, a conversation about the other day triggers a realization. She finally knows exactly why things got so weird between them. The morning starts with a wave of pure anxiety for Nekozane-san. She's convinced she smells like sweat, but her friend quickly shuts that down, insisting it's actually a sign of love. Then, a sudden discovery, a mysterious stain on her shirt that leaves both of them completely baffled. Wait, the puzzle pieces finally click. Nekozane-san realizes the stain is actually the reason Shiratama was licking her earlier. One whiff of a faint scent and she remembers. It's Churu! She must have gotten cat treats all over herself while feeding the little guy. The realization leaves her feeling a bit sulky. Who wants to smell like cat food? She tries to convince herself that no one noticed, but as the scene shifts to the classroom, a certain boy makes his entrance, heading straight for her desk. He looks exhausted, barely able to get a word out. He stammers through a greeting, his voice cracking, as he tries to find the courage to say a simple good morning to the girl sitting in front of him. Nekozane-san looks up, completely surprised by the sudden interaction. For the boy, this is a monumental moment. She actually greeted him first for the very first time. The shock is so real that even the other students in the room can feel the awkward tension. He wonders if she's back to watching cat videos, but one intense stare from her nearly sends him into a panic. In a desperate attempt to break the ice, he asks if she wants to watch together. Her shy "can I" is the green light he was hoping for. And then it happens. As they lean in to look at the screen, the distance between them vanishes. His brain practically shuts down. It's too close. He can't even focus on the photo of Kanako because he's too busy noticing how cute Nekozane-san is. The tension breaks as they bond over the absurd. Nekozane-san shows him a hilarious photo of a cat named Ohagi sleeping with its eyes rolled back. One look at that ridiculous face, and he can't help but let out a laugh, feeling her familiar quirky energy. A wave of pure relief washes over him. He's practically floating, thinking that maybe, just maybe, he isn't disliked after all. As she giggles and shares more stories about the cat's weird sleeping positions, the wall between them finally starts to crumble. But just as the mood gets sweet, a sudden scent hits him. What's with this smell, he asks, sending Nekozane-san into a momentary panic. But the mystery is solved instantly when a classmate walks by with a box of hot potato fries. It's already noon, and hunger is the only thing on the menu now. A sudden confusing encounter leaves Minato completely shaken. Even as he lies in bed at home, the why of it all consumes him, making him totally tune out his mother's call for dinner. The next morning, Minato tries to play it cool with a polite greeting to Nekozane. But as they settle into their seats, the air between them is thick, with an unspoken, heavy tension. Minato is spiraling. He tries to convince himself that Nekozane is acting normal, but his anxiety wins, imagining her secretly loathing his very presence. Despite the fear, Minato's desire to be friends is there. He's just trapped in his own head, desperate for a way to know what's actually on her mind. Fast forward to day 10, and Minato is thrown into the chaos of a group study session. He's completely out of his element, struggling to find the right moment to chime in without sounding awkward. Minato finally tries to contribute, only to be brutally shut down by a classmate. But then he notices Nekozane's gloomy expression and immediately jumps to the worst conclusion. She's furious that the group is failing. Crisis averted. It turns out Nekozane wasn't angry, she was just fighting back a yawn. With the theme finally decided, the pressure shifts to getting the work organized before the next class. With everyone else making excuses to skip the after-school work, Minato finds himself at a crossroads. He has his own plans, but he steps up and offers to handle the burden alone. Minato plays it cool, insisting the work is no big deal. But the moment he's alone with the mountain of paperwork, reality hits. This is way too much for one person to handle. Minato tries to apologize for leaving the work to her, only to realize Nekozane had secretly taken over the task herself. Her sudden, unexpected kindness leaves him completely stunned. The air is thick with hesitation as the girl asks if he's really sure about handling everything alone. He manages a small, reassuring smile and a simple, yeah. After a quick exchange of good luck wishes, she finally departs. He lets out a massive sigh of relief, finally alone to tackle the mountain of work waiting on his desk. But the peace is short-lived. Just as he settles in, she's back, questioning his timing before casually mentioning she just needs to copy some notes. Now they're side by side in the quiet, empty classroom. As they work, she asks if he's truly sure he wants to stay this late, leaving him to explain his schedule. A heavy, suffocating silence falls between them. In the quiet, a heartbreaking question echoes in the mind. Do you hate being with me? The mood flips instantly when she bluntly admits she'd rather be home, sending him into a total mental meltdown. But then she softens, telling Seno-kun that it's not right to leave all the work to him. She decides to stay, admitting the workload is too much for one person. As they work together, he can't help but feel a surge of gratitude that he didn't leave. Gathering his courage, he confesses his insecurity, admitting he thought she disliked him because of the distance she kept recently. She's stunned, realizing her own actions were misread. Then comes the moment that freezes time. She leans in close, her gaze intense and honest, as she tells him clearly, "It wasn't because I didn't like you, Seno-kun, not at all." As the clock signals it's time to go, she insists on taking half the work home to help him out. But before she leaves, she delivers the ultimate move, handing him her phone with her contact information. A simple request for help leads to a very awkward digital introduction. Nekozane asks if she can message Minato about their assignment, but the moment they exchange contacts, things get weird. She questions his line icon, and the resulting silence is absolutely deafening. The mood shifts to a quiet night as Minato reflects on a revelation. A memory of Nekozane admitting she doesn't dislike him echoes in his mind. Then a sudden ding from his phone sends his heart racing. Could this be the moment? His brain practically shuts down with excitement. Is it Nekozane-san? He screams internally, practically vibrating with hope. But the reveal is a total gut punch. It's just a promotional ad for Sakura Cafe lattes. He collapses in total defeat. Lying in bed, Minato wonders if becoming actual friends with Nekozane is even possible. He stares at her cat-themed profile icon, feeling a tiny spark of hope. He might not be there yet, but he feels like he's finally made a little progress. Back in the classroom, the routine remains the same. Nekozane is right there next to him, but she's completely out of it. Once again, she's fast asleep on her desk, leaving Minato in his own world of nervousness. Curiosity gets the better of him, and Minato tries to sneak a peek at her sleeping face. But fate has other plans. He trips and slams right into his own kneecap. While he's nursing his injury and apologizing in his head, he reminds himself that his real goal is just to become her friend. He's been wanting to thank her for something that happened the other day, but he decides to wait for her to wake up. He watches the clock tick away, hoping for a window of opportunity. But as class ends, he realizes with a surge of panic that she hasn't stirred once. Finally, he gathers his courage and blurts out a greeting just as she wakes up. But before he can even finish his sentence, she's a blur of motion. "Sorry, I'm in a rush to work," she exclaims, leaving a stunned Minato standing alone in the empty room. Left with no other choice, Minato turns to his phone to send a thank you text. He spirals into a total overthinking frenzy. Is it too formal? Is the language too stiff? After a battle of nerves, he finally summons the courage to hit send. A sudden ding echoes through the room, but the sound comes from the desk right in front of him. He looks down to see his own message popping up on a phone left behind. His heart drops as the realization hits. He just texted her phone while it was still in the room. And now, someone is walking back. Minato is racing against the clock, but he's too late. He arrives at the Rescue Cat Cafe Mew, only to find the place eerily empty, leaving him wondering if Nekozane already left for work. Suddenly, a cheerful girl stops him right at the entrance. She gives him a firm warning, "Don't open the door on your own, or the kittens might make a break for it." After a quick hand wash, Minato explains he's just returning a phone that Nekozane forgot. But there's a catch. The girl, who calls her Mugi-chan, reveals that she's actually out shopping. With nowhere else to go, Minato is invited to relax inside. Surrounded by fluffy cats, his awkwardness melts away as he finds some unexpected comfort in their warmth. As they chat, the girl gets surprisingly close, teasing him about his past. But then she asks the one question that puts him on the spot. Does he actually know Mugi-chan? Minato tries to keep it casual, claiming they're just classmates. The two quickly bond over the shared struggle of being first years and the chaos of getting lost in a new school. The ice is officially broken as she introduces herself as Momoka Usagihara. Minato returns the gesture, thinking to himself that she seems like a genuinely nice person. But wait, the smile was a lie. In an instant, Momoka's mind spirals into total suspicion. She starts questioning everything. Is this guy really a classmate, or is he actually a stalker? She's ready to go into full protector mode to save her dear friend from a bad bug. But then her mood flips again. She's just too excited to have finally talked to someone her own age. The interrogation begins as Momoka demands to know if they hang out privately. Minato frantically denies it, explaining they only do things together because they sit next to each other in class. Is she convinced, or is she just getting started? Usagihara drops a bombshell. She and Mugi-chan were practically inseparable in middle school, eating lunch together almost every day. While Seno is left reeling from the revelation, he realizes just how little he actually knows about the girl sitting next to him. A quiet determination takes hold of Seno. He doesn't know how to put it into words, but he's decided he truly wants to become friends with her. But as he lingers, Usagihara can't help but wonder what's going on in his head. The tension peaks as Seno makes his move, returning a forgotten tablet to Mugi-chan. It's a simple gesture, but for the socially anxious Seno, it's a huge step forward. A surprise message on the tablet catches Mugi-chan's eye, a heartfelt thank you for help with an assignment. Seno's heart is practically hammering against his ribs as the interaction unfolds. Mugi-chan's casual kindness only makes Seno more flustered. He tries to find the words to respond, but his brain is practically shutting down under the pressure. Then Seno lets out a smile so genuine it stops Usagihara in her tracks. To her it's blindingly obvious that is the face of a boy completely in love. Usagihara plays the supportive wingwoman, cheering him on to become just friends. But while Seno is touched by her kindness, Usagihara is secretly keeping a very close eye on him, wondering if he's a bad bug. Inspired by the support, Seno is determined to change. He's tired of being the quiet kid. He wants to grow, evolve, and finally find the courage to talk more in high school. Back in the classroom, the familiar sight of a napping Mugi-chan returns. But as Seno glances over, he notices something strange clinging to her hoodie. He can't believe his eyes. The evidence is everywhere. Mugi-chan is absolutely covered in a ton of cat hair. Minato notices something shimmering on Nekozane's back, and it's not just a few stray hairs. It's a full-on cat hair disaster. He can't help but imagine her being swarmed by a pack of ferocious felines in a chaotic struggle for survival. Panic sets in as the teacher starts questioning the source of the fur. Minato's mind races to the worst-case scenario, a lecture about forbidden part-time jobs. He desperately whispers for Nekozane to wake up before things spiral out of control. Just as the tension peaks, a single eye opens. Nekozane is finally awake, glancing up while Minato practically prays for a miracle to save her. His heart hammers against his ribs. She's awake, but the romance is cut short by the glaring issue of her clothes. As she finally notices the mess, Minato holds his breath, wondering if she's realized the extent of the fur situation. And just like that, the moment is gone. She's out cold again. Minato is relieved the teacher didn't catch on, but he can't just leave her like this. He tries one more time to alert her to the cat hair clinging to her back. Nekozane's solution? A violent shake-off that sends fur flying everywhere. Minato is left speechless by her boldness, and now forced to sweep up the aftermath of her cleaning method. Minato is still baffled by the sheer volume of fur, and Nekozane finally reveals the truth. A flashback shows her at work, where a particularly clingy cat decided her hoodie was the perfect toy, dragging her across the floor in a furry frenzy. It turns out a cat named Masamune had a total obsession with her clothes, rolling and snuggling into the fabric for hours. Minato can only stare in disbelief as Nekozane shares a photo of the culprit in action. As they look through the photos, Minato notices a rare, happy side to her, but the mood shifts instantly when Nekozane notices some stray fur on his back. Suddenly, she's leaning in close, her fingers grazing his neck, leaving Minato in a state of absolute internal chaos. Minato is torn between wanting to help and respecting her boundaries, his mind racing while he freezes up. Nekozane catches his weird vibe and looks back at him, completely confused by his sudden tension. A sudden intimate moment as Nekozane reaches out to pick something off Minato's shirt. "There is one on you too," she says, her closeness catching him completely off guard. She assumes it's just dust from cleaning, but as she looks closer she realizes it's actually a cat whisker from Masamune. Meanwhile, Minato is practically short-circuiting from her proximity, desperately wondering where her sense of personal space went, while she innocently asks if his stomach hurts. In the quiet of the classroom, Nekozane is lost in her own world, scrolling through the Rescue Cat Cafe Muse updates. A small chuckle escapes her as she sees Sock the cat causing chaos in a plastic bag, just before a good morning breaks her concentration. Minato makes his entrance, but the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. He's a nervous wreck, and as Nekozane glances up, the air between them feels charged with an unspoken awkwardness. A simple good morning is exchanged, but the vibe is anything but simple. While Nekozane yawns and scrolls through emoji-filled posts, Minato is spiraling internally, his anxiety peaking until he just wants to vanish and go home. Later, Minato turns to his computer for some digital therapy, venting to a friend about his confusing relationship with the girl. He's torn between hope and doubt, admitting that while she might not hate him, her erratic sense of distance is driving him crazy. He tries to rationalize her behavior, but his friend drops a bombshell. Could her lack of boundaries actually be a sign of romantic interest? Minato's brain immediately rejects the idea, imagining her as someone who'd rather be anywhere else than near him. The realization hits him hard. Maybe she doesn't like him at all, but simply views the world like a cat does. Just as he's pondering this, his friend Takada decides it's time for a drastic change. A makeover so bold it'll be impossible to ignore. Panic sets in as Minato imagines the worst, becoming a creep in her eyes. He weighs the risk of a blonde, pierced look against the desire to be noticed, his self-confidence gauge hitting absolute zero as he realizes how terrifying such a change would actually be. Takada's teasing demands for a blonde photo leave Minato shaking in despair, yet as he steals a glance at Nekozane, a flicker of hope remains. If only this madness could actually make her finally see him. The classroom is buzzing, but Minato is a nervous wreck while Nekozane remains her usual self, completely passed out on her desk. Even as the teacher and classmates chat around him, he can't shake the tension. Retreating to the bathroom, Minato spirals into a full-blown crisis. He scrubs his face in desperation, haunted by the crushing realization that she didn't notice him at all. He's tried everything, the clothes, the hair, the look, but the confidence just isn't there. He's trapped in a loop of self-doubt, wishing he were handsomer or just better at talking to people. With a heavy sigh, he decides to head back, still wondering how to finally get her attention. But as he leaves, a sudden sting in his eye catches him off guard. Back in the classroom, Minato enters with a weary expression, unaware that Nekozane has finally looked up. For the first time, her eyes are locked right on him. Minato is too distracted by the irritation in his eye to notice her gaze. He keeps rubbing it, wondering if a contact lens is acting up or if something got in. From Nekozane's perspective, Minato seems completely different, almost angry. Noticing he dropped something, she gathers her courage and reaches out to return it. "Sorry," she whispers, handing him his eraser, but the moment feels electric. Suddenly, Minato's world goes blurry, and he can barely process what's happening in front of him. In a sudden jolt, they are face to face, the distance between them vanishing instantly. The air freezes as they lock eyes, both completely caught off guard by the sudden closeness. The spell breaks as she simply tells him he dropped his eraser. Minato is left reeling, his heart racing, as he clumsily thanks her and tries to regain his composure. The tension is peaking in the girls' restroom. Nekozane admits to her friend that Seno-kun got way too close to her today, leaving her feeling strange. Outside, the sky opens up in a sudden downpour, while Seno wonders if he should just wait it out. He spots Nekozane standing in the rain, completely umbrella-less. Suddenly, she bolts. Nekozane sprints through the rain, leaving a bewildered Seno behind. Just as he wonders if she'll be okay, a massive crack of thunder shakes the air. Wait, she's turning back. Seno watches in surprise as the drenched girl makes a beeline straight back toward him. Shaking and soaked, Nekozane looks like she's seen a ghost, admitting she thought she was going to die from the thunder. Seno tries to be helpful, suggesting they wait for the rain to stop or call their parents. Seno starts to realize she might be terrified of storms. He suggests killing time in the nurse's office, and Nekozane agrees, though she admits she only goes there when it's empty. A little secret between them, she figures it's fine as long as no one finds out. Seno is left a bit stunned by her logic, deciding to spend some time in the classroom first. The classroom is buzzing with students making plans to go home, but Seno is in his own world. He sits alone, staring blankly, completely disconnected from the chatter around him. He tries to convince himself that going to see her is pointless, but his heart has other plans. He finds himself standing right in front of the nurse's office, sliding the door open with a quiet "Hey Total shock. He walks in to find Nekozane bundled up in a blanket like a little cocoon on the bed. After a frantic apology for startling her, Seno makes a clumsy excuse about wanting to meet the nurse, while Nekozane just stares at him in silence. The atmosphere is heavy and suffocating. Outside, the rain pours down relentlessly, mirroring the awkward, frozen silence between Minato and Nekozane as they sit worlds apart in the quiet room. A sudden violent crash of thunder shatters the peace. Minato notices Nekozane trembling violently under her blanket, her eyes wide with a terror she can't hide. She's absolutely petrified. The truth comes out. Nekozane is terrified of thunder and usually hides in her music, but today she's defenseless. Seeing her distress, Minato makes a bold, nervous offer. She can use his earphones to block out the storm. He panics and tries to take it back instantly, but then he stops her with a desperate plea. He pulls out disinfecting wipes, claiming fluids come out of his ears. A bizarre excuse that leaves Nekozane wondering if he's actually the one who's not okay. To keep things hygienic, he sets up his wireless earbuds. As Nekozane puts them in, she tells him she'll listen to the songs he usually likes, turning a moment of panic into something unexpectedly intimate. But the intimacy is short-lived as Minato spirals into a total mental breakdown over his music taste. While he's slumped over in pure embarrassment, Nekozane looks at him, finding his strange intensity almost admirable. He wants to turn on the heat to keep her warm, but a strict warning sign stands in his way, no air conditioner without permission. Despite the rules, he can't stand seeing her shiver. A little rebellion for the sake of her comfort, he decides that a secret rule break is worth the risk and presses the button, and Nekozane can't help but chuckle at his clumsy kindness. The rain finally lets up, and the two head out together. But as they walk, Nekozane brings up the person he was supposedly waiting for, leaving Minato completely blindsided by his own forgetfulness. He remembers his errand and rushes off, but as he walks away the guilt hits him hard. He sighs, convinced he messed everything up and was no help at all, totally unaware of the impression he actually left. Nekozane watches Seno walk away, her mind racing with doubt. Is he lying to her? She's left wondering what his real motive for coming here even was. In the quiet aftermath, she realizes something unexpected. The thunder that usually terrifies her didn't feel so scary this time, and she suspects it's because Seno was there with her. But when Usagahara brings up the storm at the shop, the mood shifts from sweet to suspicious. The moment Nekozane mentions Seno's presence, Usagahara's alarm bells start ringing. Why was he even there? The suspicion only deepens as Usagihara begins to question Seno's true intentions. Is just being friends a lie? She decides right then and there that she needs to investigate exactly what he's up to. The next morning at school, a routine greeting takes a wild turn. Out of nowhere, Nekozane asks Seno the one question that makes his heart skip a beat. Is he free this Saturday? Then comes the killing blow. With a straight face, she asks, do you want to go out together? Seno's brain practically shuts down from the sheer shock of it. She suggests the new mall, but adds a twist. Momoka will be joining them. Leaving a completely stunned Seno behind, she tells him to just let her know by Saturday. Seno's consciousness completely leaves the building. He's spiraling into a cosmic daze, the words hang out echoing in his head like a puzzle he can't possibly solve. Even during study time, he's obsessing, sketching the crime scene in his notebook. He immediately calls Takada, desperate to know if this is actually happening or if he's dreaming. Takada pushes him to go, insisting that an invitation like this means she's definitely interested. But Seno is already imagining a disaster, terrified that he'll just look lost and pathetic in a food court. Minato is spiraling into a total fashion crisis, but his friend Takada is already on the case. One look at his middle school wardrobe and the verdict is immediate and brutal. That tucked-in checkered shirt is absolutely forbidden. While trying to play it cool over text, Minato's nerves get the better of him. A clumsy slip of the finger leads to an accidental call, sending him into a full-blown panic, until the line actually connects. The accidental call turns into a surprise opportunity when she answers with a soft Seno-kun. Just as he's frantically apologizing, she flips the script, asking if they can keep talking for a bit. It turns out the call was a convenient escape for her from her father's study nagging. But the peace is short-lived when her family catches wind of Seno, leaving Minato terrified for his life just as she brings up their Saturday plans. Minato's mind is racing. Could this invitation actually mean she's interested in him? Overwhelmed by the possibility, he cautiously asks if it's really okay for him to join her. A simple sure is all it takes to send Minato's heart into overdrive. With a meeting time and place set for 1 p.m. at the station, he's internally screaming with joy, completely unaware of how obvious his excitement is. The conversation ends on a sweet note, with her admitting she's glad she asked him. As she whispers a good night, Minato is left floating on a cloud of pure happiness. The excitement doesn't end with the phone call. With the date looming just 2 days away, Minato finds himself wide awake, tossing and turning in a state of pure sleepless anticipation. Saturday finally arrives, and Minato is a nervous wreck at the station, obsessing over every detail of his appearance. Just as his anxiety peaks, a familiar voice cuts through the air, Seno-kun. The greeting is polite, but the moment Minato sees her outfit, his heart sinks. She's dressed in a cute, casual cat hoodie, and he suddenly realizes he's completely overdressed for the occasion. Minato is already overthinking his outfit, but the conversation takes a turn when Nekozane asks about cat cafes. He quickly suggests a pet shop instead, but when she asks if he's been there before, he panics, revealing he actually did some thorough research beforehand. Just as they're about to head in, a sudden voice cuts through the air. Someone has arrived, leaving Minato completely blindsided. Enter Usagihara. She arrives with a bright smile and a wave, having spent way too much time curling her hair just for this moment. Minato can only stare in total shock. Wait, what? Usagihara reveals she's the one who invited him so the three of them could hang out together. Minato's brain practically shuts down as he realizes he completely missed that detail in the invitation. Usagihara leans in close, teasing him with a whisper. Did he really think it was just going to be a date with Mugi-chan? But then she softens, admitting she genuinely wants to be friends, leaving Minato touched by her kindness. But don't let that smile fool you. Inside, Usagihara is already plotting to expose Minato's airheaded nature. She's suspicious, wondering if his cluelessness is just a front to get closer to Mugi-chan. The trio hits the mall, and the energy is electric. Before Nekozane can even process the crowd, Usagihara seizes the moment, dragging her toward the clothing stores for a much-needed makeover. It's a fashion whirlwind. Usagihara is absolutely obsessed, praising how every sweet outfit perfectly complements Nekozane's pale skin and effortless style. Then comes the showstopper, a frilly dress. While Usagihara is thrilled, Nekozane is only thinking about how cats would shred the fabric. But when she finally steps out to thank Minato for waiting, the atmosphere shifts instantly. Minato is completely frozen, his brain short-circuiting at the sight of her. Nekozane is left totally clueless, wondering why he's suddenly gone silent. Usagihara is absolutely convinced that Minato finds Mugi-chan adorable, even as she drags the exhausted girl from store to store. After only 20 minutes of shopping, the group lands at Pet Plus, and Mugi-chan is already at her limit. At the claw machine, Minato struggles to judge the distance, but Usagihara isn't about to let him fail. She suddenly reaches out and guides his hand on the joystick, leaving him completely frozen by the unexpected closeness. Success. The claw secures a cat plushie that looks exactly like Masamune. Mugi-chan is thrilled, telling Minato it's amazing that he got it for her, while he can only stare in a daze at her happy expression. Minato insists Mugi-chan keep the prize, a gesture so pure it practically sends Usagihara into a mental meltdown. Overwhelmed by the sweetness of the moment, she makes a hasty excuse to escape to the restroom. Alone with her thoughts, Usagihara wonders how Minato can be so oblivious to the romantic tension. But when she returns to the group, she finds him in a bizarre position, down on all fours on the floor, looking completely lost. The mystery is solved. Minato lost a contact lens. Feeling like a burden, he tells the girls to keep having fun while he takes a break. Usagihara worries about his poor eyesight, but he insists he'll be fine resting for a bit. With Mugi-chan off to buy drinks, an awkward silence settles between Minato and Usagihara. Despite the tension, Usagihara can't help but feel a sense of relief that Mugi-chan had such a great day. Suddenly, Minato drops a bombshell, asking Usagihara if she really likes Nekozane. The question catches her completely off guard, sending her into a frantic spiral of denial and confusion. Usagihara reflects on her deep bond with Mugi-chan, remembering how she reached out during a dark time in middle school. She knows Mugi-chan likely forgot, but that kindness shaped the person she is today. A memory of a simple act of kindness, a single lozenge, surfaces reminding Minato that small gestures can leave a lasting impact. Looking at Usagihara, he realizes he finally understands the depth of the feeling she's hiding, a moment of pure sincerity. Minato looks at Usagihara-san with a gentle smile, thanking her from the bottom of his heart for wanting to be his friend. But the mood shifts as Minato brings up Mugi-chan. He admits how important she is to him, stating that her happiness is his #1 priority, and now he's ready to ask a direct question. The question drops like a bombshell. What do you really think about Mugi-chan? Usagihara-san is caught completely off guard, stumbling over her words. Just as things get heavy, Usagihara-san flips the switch. With a sharp smile and a sudden turn, she shuts him down, insisting that this doesn't mean she's accepted him or anything. Left alone in the silence, Minato is lost in thought, questioning his own feelings for Nekozane-san. He's so deep in his head that he barely notices Usagihara-san returning. Usagihara-san brings the conversation back, and Minato opens up. He explains how he admires Nekozane-san's laid-back nature and her ability to stay true to herself, something he feels he lacks. A flashback reveals the roots of his feelings, from a growing curiosity in class to the moment he rushed to check on Nekozane-san during a thunderstorm. His worry for her has only deepened. Sitting together under the trees, Minato confesses his true admiration. To him, Nekozane-san's honesty with herself is an incredibly rare and beautiful quality. Suddenly, the air snaps. Usagihara-san bolts away without a word, leaving a bewildered Minato wondering what on earth just happened. But the truth is written all over her face. Flustered and blushing intensely, Usagihara-san is clearly shaken by the raw honesty of his words. The tension is electric as they lock eyes, their faces just inches apart. The girl's heart is racing, and all she can manage is a breathless. Then, the mood shatters instantly. The boy jolts awake from the trance, panicking as he realizes the time. He blurts out a frantic apology and a thank you before practically sprinting away, leaving a stunned silence in his wake. Left alone, the girl can't stop her heart from hammering against her ribs. Bottom, bottom. She clutches her water bottle tight, the echo of that moment lingering long after he's gone. As night falls, memories flood back. She wonders if he had mistaken her for someone else in the past, but then she realizes he was thinking of her in his own unique way. Yet, the truth is, she still knows almost nothing about him. Meanwhile, the boy is haunted by his own realization. It wasn't that he didn't know her, it's that he never even tried to. As the girl tosses and turns in her bed, his name sits right there on her phone screen. She stares at the screen, a soft nod of her head as she whispers his name in the quiet of her room. Seno, she repeats it, testing the weight of his full name in her mind. Minato Seno-kun. But let's rewind to where it all started. Meet Nekozane-san, the girl who spends her entire school life in a deep slumber. Whether she's being left behind during class changes or getting scolded by the teacher, she just keeps on sleeping. To the boy next to her, she's the most interesting mystery in the room. He watches her from a distance, captivated by her aura. Amidst the chaos of school life, one desire burns clear in his mind. He wants to be friends with someone like her. That's when his teacher steps in with a special request. He's asked to be the one to wake her up, since no one else can. But as he leans over her, shouting for her to wake up, Nekozane-san just snoozes right through it all. A sudden piece of advice from the teacher throws Minato off balance. Apparently, Nekozane talks to him quite a bit. Since she's not the type to approach people, the teacher urges him to be the friendly one. Minato can only nod in agreement, feeling the weight of the request. Left alone with his thoughts on the school stairs, Minato ponders the idea of actually becoming friends with her. But the memory of a certain Saturday outing flashes back, reminding him that things ended on a pretty awkward note. He can't help but wonder where she disappears to during lunch. The way she just wanders off into the unknown makes him realize she really is just like a cat. Just as he's lost in thought, a face suddenly drops into view. Nekozane is right there, hanging upside down and staring directly into his soul. The air is thick with tension as they sit together in her secret spot. While Minato's heart hammers against his chest, Nekozane reveals the lonely truth. She eats here because it's too awkward to be alone in a classroom full of lively students. She skillfully dodges his questions about her other hiding spots, shifting the conversation to the wind. Then, without warning, she just starts munching on a sandwich, leaving Minato completely bewildered. Minato is frozen, wondering what he's even supposed to do in this situation. After a long, shy silence, the mood shifts when Nekozane suddenly offers him some gummies. A small gesture, but enough to break the ice. As she starts cutting out photos of cats, Minato asks if it's for her job at the cat cafe. She gives a simple yup, explaining that these photos are essential for the shop. Suddenly, she lunges forward, shoving a photo right against his face with a demanding look at it. Minato's brain practically shuts down from the extreme closeness, only to realize she just really wanted to show off her cat. Minato can't shake the feeling that this moment is strangely intimate. Nekozane, oblivious or indifferent, simply explains she needs to finish her work by the end of the day, and can focus best right here beside him. Minato finally makes his move, offering to help Nekozane with something important. He's practically vibrating with eagerness. He's all in. But then comes the reveal. Minato's help is a drawing of a cat so crude it barely looks like an animal. The silence is deafening as Nekozane asks the one question that crushes his soul. Is this a cat? While Minato spirals into a pit of self-loathing, wondering if he's even capable of making friends, the school bell cuts through the gloom. Just as he's given up, Nekozane drops a bombshell. She's actually going to use it. Panic mode activated. Minato desperately tries to reclaim his random doodle, but Nekozane isn't letting it go that easily. She turns the whole thing into a game, challenging him to guess which hand holds the drawing. He takes a gamble, but luck isn't on his side. With a playful too bad, Nekozane reveals he picked the wrong hand, leaving Minato completely bewildered. As Minato sits there in a daze, something unexpected happens. Nekozane reaches out and gently places her hand on his head. A soft smile and a simple phrase, consolation prize. With that, she leaves him frozen in place, his heart probably racing a mile a minute. But the prize wasn't just a head pat. Minato looks down at a piece of apple candy in his hand, a small victory that makes the whole awkward encounter worth it. Cut to the Rescue Cat Cafe, where a new poster is drawing a crowd. The girls are swooning over the cute artwork, praising Mugi-chan for her talent. Then they spot it, the one drawing that looks completely off. When Nekozane reveals that Seno-kun was the artist, the mood shifts from confusion to adoration. Even Nekozane can't help but smile, realizing that maybe his weird little doodle isn't so bad after all. Minato is suddenly ambushed by a high-energy recruitment pitch for the tennis club. The mention of inviting friends hits him like a ton of bricks, reminding him of his own social struggles. He barely manages a polite response as he's handed a flyer, feeling the weight of his loneliness. Staring at the flyer, Minato realizes he's been so tunnel-visioned on making friends in class that he completely overlooked school clubs. It's a new possibility, and he's actually considering it. Clubs, huh? Minato spots Nekozane with the same flyer and hopes for a chance to join the same club. But the dream is quickly crushed when she reveals her schedule is already packed with a part-time job, leaving him to sigh in disappointment. Just as Minato starts worrying he's being too pushy, Nekozane breaks the tension by showing him a hilarious photo of her cat, Masamune, with its sticking out. The sheer cuteness of the blep catches him off guard, and she even offers to send him the photo. The conversation takes a sudden turn when Nekozane asks about a sunset. Minato is completely lost until she clarifies. She's talking about his profile picture on the messaging app, Rhine. Minato awkwardly explains that he only chose the sunset photo because the default icon felt too lonely. Nekozane brushes it off as simple curiosity, but it leaves Minato wondering why she even noticed such a small detail. As he walks away, Minato can't stop thinking about how Nekozane seems to be opening up to him more. He tries to shake the feeling and turns his attention to the club board, overwhelmed by the sheer number of options available. While Minato is spiraling over which club to pick, he's suddenly snatched from behind in a violent ambush. A loud gotcha rings out as he's practically kidnapped right there in the hallway. It turns out he's been hunted by a high-energy upperclassman who saw him eyeing a poster. She drags him along with zero hesitation, ignoring her companion's comments about it looking like a kidnapping, and demands to know if he's interested. Minato is thrust into a room filled with stunning photographs and introduced to the club's leadership. The eccentric president Kiyomiya and the reluctant vice president Guda. Welcome to the photography club, whether he likes it or not. A girl with glasses shows off her photography, and Minato is genuinely captivated by the beauty of her shots. But as she notices his interest, the air grows thick with a sudden fluttering tension. His heart practically skips a beat. She enthusiastically pitches her club, raving about the joy of meeting new people. For the socially anxious Minato, those words are a nightmare, leaving him frozen and struggling to find an answer as she pushes for a decision. Unable to commit, Minato manages to ask for time to think, but the moment he's alone on a bench, the regret hits hard. He can't stop questioning why he let his fear win again. Watching other students laugh and bond over tennis, the contrast is painful. He tries to convince himself it's just a lack of interest, but the truth is far more bitter. He's just being a coward. It's a raw moment of self-loathing. Minato admits he desperately wants to change, yet he's paralyzed by the fear of doing anything new, leaving him feeling utterly pathetic. Just as he's spiraling into despair, a sudden rustle in the bushes breaks the silence. A stray calico cat appears out of nowhere, snapping him out of his thoughts with a confused... Captivated by the feline visitor, Minato snaps a quick photo before the cat vanishes. But just as he's wondering where it went, a mysterious voice calls out from behind him, catching him completely off guard. The girl claims she can sense cats, a bizarre talent that leaves Minato bewildered. But the mood shifts instantly as she leans in close, her eyes fixed on the photo on his screen. After confirming it's the same calico, the girl starts digging into Minato's photography habits. He modestly brushes it off, claiming he only takes the occasional shot of food or landscapes. As she scrolls through his gallery, the girl's expression turns to genuine admiration. Her sudden, sincere praise leaves Minato completely baffled. He had no idea his simple photos were actually any good. A sudden compliment hits Minato like a ton of bricks. The girl praises his line icon, calling the photo so beautiful she actually thought it was a professional stock image. Minato is left speechless, his brain struggling to process the praise while she casually dismisses her own blurry photos. Then she delivers the killing blow. With a soft, sincere gaze, she looks at him and admits, "I really like the photos you take, Seno-kun." Total system failure. Minato's eyes widen in complete shock, his mind going blank. To make matters even more confusing, she lets out a tiny cat-like meow, leaving him utterly bewildered. Fast forward to the aftermath, and Minato has officially signed his life away to the photography club. But as the club members welcome him back with open arms, he's currently having a full-blown mental breakdown on the grass. When the club members ask why he decided to join, Minato can't help but be honest. He admits that a single compliment made him want to try, even though he feels like a complete amateur who knows nothing about cameras. But instead of judging him, they give him the warmest welcome possible. They tell him that being happy because of someone's praise is the perfect reason to start something new, leaving Minato visibly touched. The club is a chaotic bunch, including a former judo athlete who gets teased relentlessly. However, the mood shifts when they pressure Minato to invite someone else to join. He hesitates, admitting it might be a little difficult. The truth slips out. It's a girl. Minato blushes furiously, rubbing the back of his neck as he stammers that they aren't exactly friends yet, but he really wants them to be. The club members aren't buying the friendship excuse for a second. With a dramatic flourish, they diagnose his condition. This isn't friendship, it's a total love hit! While the girl is vibrating with excitement to tease him about it, the guy has a more mischievous plan. He suggests that keeping the secret will make the whole situation even funnier, leaving her absolutely stunned. Minato Seno is officially welcomed into the photography club with an explosion of energy from the club leader. While he's barely keeping up with the enthusiasm, another member looks completely drained. Meanwhile, in a quiet moment elsewhere, a girl with long black hair softly tells a cat she has no treats. The club leader isn't wasting any time, showing off a high-tech camera that can capture even the most minute details, like the eyebrows of a very annoyed member named Gouda. Minato looks at the professional gear and feels a wave of doubt. Can he actually handle something this advanced? The leader reassures him that it's simple enough and that practice is the only way to improve. But before Minato can even settle in, she drops a bombshell. It's time for his very first official club assignment. Back at home, the assignment haunts him. Take photos of things you like. It sounds simple, but for Minato, it's a total crisis. He wonders if he should just photograph things that look good, because the actual answer is far more elusive. The frustration peaks as he stares at his books and games. He likes them, sure, but he doesn't feel that burning, loud and proud passion that makes something photographable. The more he thinks about it, the more lost he feels. Back in class, Minato finds himself staring at the girl with the black hair. She's happily showing him a photo of a cat named Kanako, and he can't help but feel a pang of envy. Her passion is so clear, so simple, and so effortless. Lost in thought, Minato doesn't notice her watching him until she asks what's wrong. Caught off guard, he awkwardly admits the truth. He's completely stuck on what to photograph for his club assignment. Then she offers the perfect solution. Why not take photos of cats? Minato is stunned by the suggestion, and suddenly he finds himself standing in front of a place called Cat Cafe Mew. Minato is a nervous wreck, worried about bothering her while she's working, but she insists it's fine since the owner, Eri, gave her the okay. However, a reminder from the club leader flashes in his mind. This camera is incredibly expensive, and he absolutely cannot mess it up. As they step inside the cafe, Minato is practically shaking, repeating a mantra to not break the equipment under any circumstances. But as he looks through the lens, the panic fades, and with a sharp kacha, he captures his first shot of a curious cat. A single click, and the result is breathtaking. Nekozane is absolutely floored by the photo, praising the incredible detail of the cat's fur. Minato can barely even stammer a yes through his bashfulness. But the mood shifts as Nekozane's gaze turns intense, staring him down with an unreadable expression. Minato tries to break the tension by suggesting a toy to get even cuter shots, but one wrong move and he's under threat. Nekozane warns him sternly not to dare drop that camera. The mission for the perfect photo is harder than it looks. Just as Minato gets into position, the cat vanishes in a flash, leaving them both staring at empty space. A heavy silence falls between them, and when Minato asks if something is wrong, Nekozane simply brushes it off. For a moment, Minato loses himself in the joy of the lens, wanting to experiment with every angle possible. But then, reality hits him like a ton of bricks. He completely forgot his club assignment. Just as he spirals into panic, a cold can of coffee is placed beside him, and Nekozane asks if he finally got the shot. The conversation turns to his assignment, and Minato admits he's stuck. He's torn between photographing something impressive or simply capturing what he truly likes. He wonders if it's even okay to admit that his tastes are that simple. That's when Nekozane drops a truth bomb that hits him right in the chest. She calls him a pretty serious person. While Minato is spiraling in his own head, she tells him he's simply overthinking everything. It's a realization that leaves him completely stunned. With a cat curled in her arms, Nekozane offers a simpler philosophy. Just being around cats makes everything okay. Minato can only blink in confusion, completely thrown by her effortless way of finding peace. Minato finally gives in to the cat therapy, feeling the warmth and fluffiness settle his nerves. But the real shock comes when Nekozane admits she's grown to love cats as much as dogs. Before he can even process it, she leans in incredibly close, questioning his own feelings. The air grows thick as she challenges him, pointing out that he finally has something he likes. Minato tries to dismiss it as a whim, but her directness leaves him breathless. "Is that bad?" she asks, pushing him to accept the simple truth. In the quiet after the storm, Nekozane looks at him with a soft, knowing smile. With one gentle sentence, all his anxiety vanishes. Everything is okay now. What was I even doing? Minato's brain finally stops spiraling as he realizes he spent an entire night worrying for nothing. It turns out Nekozane has been the one quietly saving him lately. But just when he's feeling calm, one look at her sends him right back into a panic. Then she says his name, Seno-kun, and his heart practically skips a beat. The mood shifts to something sweet when Nekozane asks to take some photos of things she likes. After a clumsy near miss with the camera, she focuses her lens on the cutest thing around, tiny cat paws. While the cats are the main attraction, Nekozane's attention drifts. She watches Minato interact with the feline, her expression softening. Kacha. In a split second, she captures a candid shot of him, freezing that gentle moment forever. Back at the photography club, Minato is finally finding his rhythm. He's realizing that there are actually a lot of things in the world he genuinely likes. But the peace doesn't last long. As a club member scrolls through the photos, she spots something that makes her stop dead in her tracks. "What's with your grin?" Minato is clueless, but the club member has just found the ultimate treasure, a photo of him and the cat. She's not telling him a thing. Then the reality of high school hits like a ton of bricks. The first semester is ending, the heat is oppressive, and the teacher just dropped the bomb. Finals start next week. Minato's first instinct is to worry about Nekozane. After all, she's the queen of napping. But then he glances over and his jaw practically hits the floor. She's not just awake, she's actually taking notes. The pressure of finals is on, and Minato notices Nekozane cramming hard. She reveals her secret motivation. If she fails and has to take makeup classes, she'll lose precious hours at her part-time job. Minato is impressed by her drive, though his own victory is a modest score of 56. Summer arrives with the deafening scream of cicadas, and for Minato, it's a cycle of naps, studying and helping with the dishes. He's a high school student with absolutely zero plans, to the point where he's actually considering a mushroom-growing kit just to pass the time. While imagining Nekozane working hard, Minato sinks into the dread of a lonely vacation. But just as the gloom sets in, ding! A notification sparks a sudden surge of hope. Could this be it? The hope is short-lived. It's just Takada bragging about catching a massive octopus at the beach. Minato sighs and tries to force himself back into studying, but then another ding. This one feels different. Suddenly, Minato is thrust into the vibrant chaos of a summer festival. He's recruited by a high-energy woman to help out Gramps at a food stall. Despite the suddenness, he's ready to dive in and lend a hand. Between flipping yakisoba and dealing with the crowd, Minato catches some spicy gossip about Guda-senpai's secret festival date. He's so stunned by the reveal that he barely hears Gramps yelling at him to speak up to the customers. The heat is brutal, and Minato is completely wiped out. But Gramps recognizes the grind and surprises him with a feast of yakisoba, a cold drink, and free vouchers. A little kindness goes a long way when you've been working your butt off without a break. Even though his voice is too quiet for the bustling crowd, Minato's effort didn't go unnoticed. As he finally takes a seat to eat, the exhaustion starts to feel like a badge of honor. Recalling Gramps' gratitude, a small, genuine smile forms on Minato's face. He's actually glad he stepped out of his shell today. But just as he's enjoying his meal, a familiar voice calls his name, freezing him in place. He looks up, and the world practically stops. There she is, Nekozane, looking absolutely stunning in a floral yukata, glowing under the festival lights. This just became the most unforgettable summer of his life. Minato is completely caught off guard when a girl in a yukata suddenly thanks him for waiting. The tension spikes as their friends react in total shock, and he finds himself face to face with her, awkwardly stammering that he's just helping out at a festival stall. While Momoka internally screams for Minato to just compliment the girl's looks, the conversation takes a weird turn. Minato mentions getting a goldfish for his cat, Masamune, only to be hit with a sudden just kidding that leaves his brain completely fried. With the fireworks about to begin, the group rushes off to save a spot. Mugi gives Minato a casual wave goodbye, leaving him behind while Momoka watches the whole scene with a suspiciously knowing smirk. Momoka doesn't hold back, teasing Minato about his obvious interest in the girl. She pushes him to stop being so timid and actually go watch the festival with her, reminding him just how cute she is. Momoka tries to play matchmaker, urging him to seize the moment while she covers his shift. But Minato's social anxiety kicks in. He wasn't officially invited, and the thought of intruding on their fun makes him pull back in resignation. As the first booms of the fireworks echo through the air, Momoka starts showering Minato with praise. He tries to deny it, but she's not letting him off the hook, leaning in to tell him exactly how considerate he is. Under the exploding colors of the night sky, Momoka drops a truth bomb. She tells him that his very kindness and seriousness are the things keeping him from experiencing the best parts of life. Meanwhile, Mugi is fighting for her life in the crushing festival crowd. Just as she's about to give up on finding a place to sit, she spots a quiet opening and points it out to Momo. Mugi keeps searching through the sea of people, but then a familiar voice calls out. The stage is set for something completely unexpected to unfold. Back at the yakisoba stall, the fireworks have ended, but Minato is still haunted by Momoka's words. He's left staring into space, wondering exactly what it is he's missing out on. From the mundane routine of cleaning, the scene shifts to the vibrant energy of the festival. Seno-kun spots Nekozane-san, but she's not relaxing. She's frantically searching for someone named Momo. Panic sets in as Nekozane-san reveals she's lost Momo in the massive crowd and can't get a signal. Seeing her distress, Seno-kun doesn't hesitate to offer his help in the search. Suddenly, a scream shatters the air. It's Momo, absolutely frantic, though it turns out she was just taking a break. Still, she's suspiciously worried about whether Nekozane-san was hit on by anyone. Momo doesn't let up, delivering a terrifying warning through the phone. Seno-kun better get Nekozane-san home safely or else. Once the call ends, a relieved Seno-kun begins the walk back with her. But before they can leave, Seno's senpai stops him with a gift that changes the entire mood. A fireworks set specifically designed for 2 people. The implication is loud and clear. With a knowing smile, senpai drops a piece of advice that leaves Seno-kun completely stunned. She tells him it's okay to be a little more greedy. His brain practically shuts down. As they walk, the word greedy loops in Seno-kun's head, leaving him totally flustered. He tries to play it cool by chatting about the castella cake he bought for the cafe owner. The mood softens as they share a quiet moment. While Seno-kun is glad she had fun, Nekozane-san admits a small lingering regret. She missed the fireworks. They finally reach her corner, and the reality of the goodbye hits like a ton of bricks. Seno-kun realizes with a sudden ache that he's not ready for this night to end. Senpai's words echo in his mind just as Nekozane-san calls his name. Confronted by his own heart, Seno-kun asks himself the one question that changes everything. Does he really not want to go home yet? The tension is palpable as Minato stares at Nekozane, his heart racing. He can't help but admit it to himself. He just wants to be with her a little longer. Breaking the silence, Minato calls out to her. He reaches into his bag and presents something that catches her eye. It's a fireworks set. Minato explains that it's for her and Usagihara-san, remembering that the other girl had mentioned being tired over the phone. He figures Usagihara probably missed the main display, so he suggests the 2 of them use the set together. Nekozane looks at him, surprised, and asks if he's really sure about this. With a gentle closed-eye smile, Minato gives a simple yes. The kindness in his voice leaves Nekozane momentarily breathless. Suddenly, the mood shifts. Nekozane reaches out, her hand brushing against him as she softly calls his name. Seno-kun, do you have a moment? She leads him away from the crowds and up a set of stairs into a wooded area. Minato is completely lost, wondering where they're going, while Nekozane fans herself, complaining about the heat. Then they reach the top. The view is breathtaking, a sparkling city illuminated by the festival lights. Minato is floored by the beauty, and Nekozane agrees, noting how peaceful it is since no one else is around. They settle onto a bench in a quiet moonlit park. As a chilly breeze kicks in, Nekozane reveals that this is her secret spot, a hidden gem where she comes to escape the world. Closing her eyes, she admits how much she loves zoning out here and forgetting the time. Then she shares the best part of all. If you're lucky, you might even meet a ginger tabby and a tortoise shell cat. Minato and Nekozane share a quiet moment overlooking the city lights. While Nekozane laments that some people aren't there today, she admits she loves the silence of the place. The mood is peaceful until Minato asks the question that breaks the spell: why did she bring him here? Nekozane's answer is as elusive as a dream, admitting she just wanted him to know this place and take a little detour together. As she speaks, a goldfish swims in a plastic bag, and Minato can only stare in wide-eyed shock. A sudden breeze sweeps through, leaving him completely breathless. Under the vast, starry sky, Nekozane looks out over the shimmering city. She confesses that she isn't even entirely sure why she wanted him there. Her serene expression in the moonlight leaving Minato completely spellbound. Now alone in the stillness of the night, the world seems to vanish. In the heavy silence of the park, Minato realizes the only thing he can hear is the oddly loud thumping of his own heart. Fast forward to September, and Minato is a total zombie. He's so lost in thoughts of that summer night that he doesn't even notice his classmate Kiyomiya, until she jolts him back to reality with a loud, sudden greeting. He just can't shake it. That one specific look on Nekozane's face is burned into his mind. Every passing day only makes his heart more unsteady, leaving him completely lovesick and bewildered. Then comes the chaos. Kiyomiya suddenly decides the best way to help is to recruit Nekozane into their club. While Minato tries to argue that she's too busy, Kiyomiya is already fully committed to the plan. Kiyomiya goes into full pressure mode, insisting that the club is the perfect way for Minato to get closer to his crush. Despite Minato's hesitation and the other club members' doubt, Kiyomiya is determined to hunt her down, even if she's as elusive as an animal. The ambush happens in the school hallway. As Nekozane quietly checks her coins, Kiyomiya slides into her space with an aggressive level of energy, introducing herself as a second year. With a blinding flash of determination, Kiyomiya drops the big question: is she interested in the photography club? The answer comes back like a physical blow, a cold, blunt no that sends Nekozane walking away without a second thought. Chaos erupts as a high-energy girl with glasses slides into the scene, desperately pleading with Nekozane not to make a decision yet. She throws everything at her: free snacks, camera rentals, and even photos of a muscular guy named Gouda, just to get her to join. But Nekozane isn't buying it, walking away as the girl continues her frantic pitch. Defeated and slumped on a bench, the glasses girl laments her brutal rejection to Seno. While he warns her that Gouda-senpai might be furious, she's already bouncing back with terrifying determination. Seno is left bewildered, wondering why she refuses to back down from the cold shoulder. The glasses girl questions why Seno is so fixated on Nekozane, suggesting he recruit someone else. But the moment Seno tries to put his feelings into words, she cuts him off with a loud, confident conclusion: he simply finds her interesting. Seno can only blink in confusion at her interpretation. In a quiet moment, Nekozane sits alone, a small smile appearing as she checks a message on her phone. Meanwhile, the glasses girl reflects on their dynamic, realizing that Nekozane is the total opposite of everything she is. The peace is shattered when the glasses girl ambushes Nekozane with a loud "found you." Nekozane tries to make a quick escape back to the classroom, but she's cornered by the girl's persistence. As she reluctantly agrees to talk, Nekozane can't help but feel the other girl is practically forcing the interaction. It's a barrage of failed bribes. Juice is rejected, weirdly flavored gummies are turned down. But then the glasses girl plays her trump card: a photo of her uncle's cat. For the first time, Nekozane actually reacts, and the glasses girl is practically vibrating with victory. The glasses girl gushes over the cat's cute pink and black paw pads, but the mood shifts the moment she pivots the conversation. She brings up Seno, asking Nekozane if he used to wear glasses, turning the focus toward the boy. The glasses girl reveals a surprisingly sharp side, breaking down Seno's habits, from his specific glasses gesture to the way he carries his bag. She analyzes his hunched posture, deducing that he likely lacks confidence in himself, leaving Nekozane to listen to the detailed profile. Impressed by her observation skills, Nekozane asks how she noticed so much. The glasses girl lets a bombshell slip: "Well, I like him." But the moment the words leave her mouth, she panics, frantically claiming she just likes people in general while Nekozane stares her down. The mood turns reflective as the glasses girl explains her curiosity about human nature. She believes everyone's personality, whether they are shy or short-tempered, is shaped by their past and environment. For her, every person is a mystery waiting to be understood. The air gets thick with tension as the girl with glasses leans in close, her finger tapping Nekozane's chest. She's not just chatting, she's probing, questioning why Nekozane seems so completely uninterested in everyone around her. Slap! Nekozane doesn't hesitate to shut the conversation down with a swift strike to the hand. While the girl with glasses laughs it off with a nervous apology, Nekozane's attention has already shifted to Seno, who's standing in the distance, clutching his bag. A mysterious, knowing smirk plays on the senpai's lips. Meanwhile, Nekozane looks away, a realization hitting her: is this girl really that oblivious to what's actually going on? The senpai tries one last play, asking if they can just hang out and chat occasionally since she really wants to get to know her. The response is a brutal one-word shutdown: no. Nekozane makes her exit immediately, leaving the persistent senpai stunned. But wait, the plot twists. Despite the rejection, Nekozane actually shows up at the clubroom, lured in by the promise of cat photos Seno took. Seno is completely blindsided, wondering how on earth she ended up here. Seno can only watch in silence, wondering if they've actually become friends, until the senpai's mood flips instantly. She jolts Nekozane, her voice booming as she declares that Nekozane's skirt is way too short and definitely breaking school rules. Seno desperately tries to play peacemaker, begging his senpai not to go overboard, but she's already on a mission. Ignoring Nekozane's pleas to stop touching her, the senpai aggressively moves in to cover the wardrobe violation. The chaos leaves Nekozane in a state of total meltdown, her face erupting in a massive blush as she hides behind her hands. Seno is left standing there, completely awkward and unable to find the right words. Seno finds himself blushing too, the tension between them reaching a breaking point. The moment is shattered when Kiyomiya-senpai gets a swift smack to the head, getting seriously scolded for her antics. And just like that, the storm vanishes. Seno is left alone in the quiet room, blinking in confusion and wondering where Nekozane disappeared to as the normal chatter of the classroom returns. The day starts with a shock. The one person Minato is thinking about is missing. The teacher confirms the news. Nekozane is the only one absent today. Panic sets in. Minato desperately types out a message, his heart racing as he wonders if it's even okay to reach out. Is she sick? Is she alright? He hits send and waits. His imagination runs wild, picturing her bedridden and dehydrated in a total crisis. But then a notification pings. The reply is short and alarming. Help me, I'm at the cafe. It's time for some drastic measures. Minato bursts into the teacher's office, faking a sudden violent illness to secure an early exit. He's so bad at lying that he actually starts feeling sick from the stress, but it works. Next stop, the rescue cat Cafe Mew. He rushes into the cafe, his mind racing because she stopped answering her phone. A friendly staff member tries to welcome him with the usual hand-washing routine, but Minato is way past the point of formalities. He completely loses it, shouting his desperation for the staff to tell him if Nekozane is okay. He's a total mess, but the woman remains impossibly calm, telling him to just take a breath first. Then she does something completely unexpected. She reaches out and covers his eyes. As Minato freezes in confusion, she reveals her secret. Covering a cat's eyes calms their anxiety. Is it working? It actually works. Dazed and suddenly peaceful, Minato apologizes for his outburst and shows her the cryptic message. The woman just smiles to herself, knowing exactly what's going on with that girl. The tension finally breaks. The staff member reassures him that everything is fine and tells him to wait. To keep him occupied, she brings over some tea and a sweet treat. She presents some high-end manju from a famous shop, and Minato is just grateful for the kindness. But just as he's about to take a bite, a cat launches a lightning-fast ambush. Luckily, the staff member is one step ahead, blocking the theft with perfect timing. Minato is completely stunned by the woman's effortless control over the cat. She introduces herself as Eri Kawasaki, the owner of the cafe, leaving Minato deeply impressed by her presence. Minato can't help but wonder if Eri is the one who influenced Nekozane's cat-like mindset, especially after Eri drops the bombshell that humans are mere servants to cats. When asked about Mugi-chan's school life, Minato can only describe her as someone who simply does whatever she pleases, which mostly means sleeping. Minato's attention is caught by a cute cat poster on the wall. Eri reveals a surprising detail. Mugi-chan actually drew it herself by hand, leaving Minato in total disbelief. Eri continues to praise Mugi-chan, explaining how she actively helps run the cafe and cares for the cats. Minato listens intently, discovering a hard-working side of her he never knew existed. The scene shifts as Nekozane returns home, lugging a cat carrier. Minato is caught completely off guard by her sudden appearance and immediately panics, worrying if something is wrong. Minato shows her a message she accidentally sent him, a desperate plea for help, while wrestling with a stubborn cat named Kinako. Nekozane apologizes, explaining she meant to send the chaos to Eri-san, while Minato is left reeling from the accidental reveal. After Eri heads out, Minato finally asks the question on his mind, why was she absent from school today? Nekozane simply explains that she spent the morning taking Kanako to the vet. Nekozane admits she went to the vet so Eri wouldn't have to leave the shop, showing her quiet selflessness. Watching her, Minato realizes that beneath her silent exterior she is truly a wonderful person. Minato tries to compliment Eri's kindness, but the conversation takes a sharp turn. Just as Nekozane agrees, she asks him a question that sends a literal jolt through his system. The truth finally spills out. Minato actually faked being sick just to skip school and check on her. He admits he panicked out of worry, leaving the air between them thick with unexpected tension. Nekozane keeps it cool with a simple, I see, but inside she's spiraling, hoping no one is suspicious of her. Meanwhile, Seno tries to play it off with a nervous laugh, only for Nekozane to call him a total delinquent. Enter a mysterious blonde woman whose aura energy is practically radiating off the page. She seems to have figured something out, and while she teases Seno, Nekozane reacts with a literal hiss. For a second, the mood turns serious as Nekozane mentions Mugi-chan, but she quickly shuts down the conversation. Before they can spiral, the woman drops a request that changes the stakes. She wants Seno to keep getting along with her. Under that intense, smiling gaze, Seno's brain practically shuts down, leaving him shouting a desperate, "Yes!" The woman quickly pivots to talking about cute cats, leaving a completely flustered Seno struggling to keep up. The school atmosphere shifts instantly as the big autumn event is announced, the sports festival. While the rest of the class is buzzing with excitement, Nekozane is doing what she does best, taking a deep nap right in the middle of the chaos. With the teacher demanding event sign-ups, Seno is overwhelmed by the noise and decides to procrastinate. But as Nekozane finally stirs from her sleep, he realizes he can't let her miss out and urges her to pick an event. Nekozane's reaction is a mood. She asks if she even has to write it down, her face practically screaming, "What a pain." Seno, on the other hand, is having a full-blown crisis, imagining the horror of the relay and the cavalry battle. Panicking and out of breath, Seno desperately searches for an event where he can actually survive without running. In a moment of pure survival instinct, he settles on the safest bet, ball toss. A small, rare smile from Nekozane catches him off guard as she reveals they've picked the same thing. But the victory is short-lived. The teacher drops a bombshell. Everyone has to join at least 3 events. As Nekozane lets out a sleepy yawn, Seno can't help but notice something different. She's smiling more, acting softer, and he realizes that since their first conversation, she's changed in the best way possible. The grind for the sports festival is finally winding down, but as Minato leaves the school late, a familiar sight catches his eye. There she is, Nekozane-san, standing with a group of classmates. One of the girls steps forward, mentioning they're in the same preparation group and asking for a moment of his time. She starts talking about a cute girl who sleeps a lot, and the air suddenly feels heavy with unspoken intentions. The girl continues, expressing how glad she is that they were paired together, but just as she's about to make her move, a single word cuts through the conversation like a knife. "Sorry." It's Nekozane. With a blunt expression, she announces she has something to do and makes a quick exit. Minato is left blinking in surprise, quickly playing it cool while the other girls look on, stunned. Back at home, the silence of the night only makes the memory louder. Minato tries to focus on his work, telling himself she probably just had a part-time job, but a nagging question keeps surfacing. Why does her rejection bother him so much? A sudden request from his mother for eggs breaks his spiral, sending him on a late-night run to Tonemart. He navigates the quiet aisles, searching for the fresh eggs, unaware that a chance encounter is waiting around the corner. A simple act of kindness, helping a woman reach a product, leads to a shocking revelation. As she thanks him, she recognizes him instantly, calling out his name, "Seno-kun?" Minato's brain practically shuts down as he looks at the woman. It's Eri, the owner of the cat cafe, but she's wearing an outfit that is a far cry from her usual look. He can barely get the words out in his shock. Eri reveals she has a second job at night, explaining the dramatic change in her wardrobe. While Minato's mind races, wondering what on earth she does for a living, she turns the conversation back to him, asking if he's okay being out so late alone. After a playful mention of Mugi-chan being at the cafe, Eri leans in with a mischievous glint in her eye. She tells him it's a bit late for a thank you for the eggs, and then drops a proposal that leaves him completely frozen. How about a drink? A simple bottle of tea, but the conversation is anything but simple. Seno thanks the blonde woman for the treat, but she drops a hint that makes him freeze. Is tea really all he wants? Then, the conversation shifts to her other job, where she casually mentions drinking alcohol and chatting with customers. The reveal is a snack bar called Cats and Night. Seno's brain practically shuts down in confusion, while she quickly insists it's not a shady job. He's not judging, but he can't help but wonder, how on earth is she juggling so many different jobs? The mood shifts as she suddenly asks Seno if he has any pets. As she speaks, we see a glimpse of her love for cats. They're pure joy and anger, the way they return love. But her voice turns serious. She knows that cuteness isn't enough to solve every problem. Then comes the confession. With a heavy heart, she admits the cafe's business isn't exactly thriving, forcing her to work multiple jobs just to keep things afloat. She apologizes for her irresponsible question, reminding him that owning a pet is a lifelong responsibility. But the conversation takes an unexpected turn. She reveals that her biggest worry right now isn't the money, it's Mugi-chan. Seno is completely blindsided. Wait, she's more worried about Nekozane? Meanwhile, another ordinary day ends for Nekozane. Driven by a growling stomach, she decides to make a quick stop at the convenience store on her way home. But as she approaches Tonemart, she spots something that stops her dead in her tracks. There they are, Eri-san and Seno-kun, standing close together. The air suddenly feels very heavy. Nekozane watches from a distance, her mind racing. Is Seno actually worried about her? While the two of them remain oblivious to her presence, Eri-san begins to recount a story from the past. Something that happened back in middle school. We flashed back to a younger, lonelier Mugi-chan. At first, she was a closed-off child, but slowly she began to open up. Then came the moment that changed everything, a young Mugi-chan, clutching a cat, declaring her dream to work at the cafe. Since she was too young to be hired, she spent her middle school years helping out with small chores, a gesture that brought Eri-san immense joy. Now in high school, she's finally an official employee. Seno listens, finally understanding the bond they share, but a lingering thought remains. What about Mugi-chan? A heavy question hangs in the air as Minato asks if Mugi-chan might be neglecting other parts of her life by prioritizing the cafe way too much. A soft sorry cuts through the tension, and the woman beside him acknowledges just how much Mugi-chan truly cares. Minato's concern is clear. He wants Mugi-chan to cherish her own time more. The woman agrees, admitting she likes her too, but a dark thought begins to cloud her mind. She starts to wonder if she is the one stealing precious moments from the girl's life. A sudden ding from his phone snaps Minato back to reality. His mom is checking in on him. Meanwhile, the woman's internal spiral deepens as she asks herself the unthinkable. Would it be better if Mugi-chan didn't come to the cafe at all? The conversation winds down as they prepare to part ways. It's nothing, she murmurs, but Minato can tell something is off. He's caught in a moment of hesitation, leaving the woman to wonder what's bothering him. Cut to the school, where the atmosphere is buzzing with energy as students paint for the upcoming sports fest. But amidst the chatter, Minato spots something strange. There sits Nekozane, looking inexplicably small and focused on a single spot on the floor. Minato is baffled. Why does she look so tiny, and why has she been painting the same spot for so long? He can't help but wonder if something went wrong at her part-time job. Unable to just watch, he finally makes his move and sits down beside her. Let me help you with that, he offers softly, earning a quiet thank you. He tries to lift the mood by bringing up the sports fest and the weather, but his enthusiasm hits a brick wall. The silence that follows is heavy, leaving them both shrouded in a sudden gloom. The silence is broken when the girl looks up and asks if he's okay. For a moment, it feels like they've drifted back to the very beginning of their relationship. She notices the shadow over him, pointing out that he seems a little down. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Minato brushes it off, but his mind is racing. He looks at her and then at Usagi-hara-san, wondering if the girl would have opened up more if it had been someone else instead of him. Despite being right next to each other, the distance between them feels insurmountable. As he watches her, a painful realization hits him. She feels so far away. The classroom is buzzing with energy, but for one group, the vibe is a bit off. While everyone else is hyped to stay after class to finish their project, Nekozane just stares blankly, completely lost in her own world. A sudden phone call breaks the silence, and Nekozane's heart skips a beat. On the other end, a voice hesitates, bringing up something about a part-time job that leaves Nekozane wondering what's really going on. The news is simple. Too much prep work for the sports fest means fewer shifts at the cafe. But as Nekozane tells them not to worry, her eyes tell a completely different, much sadder story. She puts on a brave face, insisting everything will be fine, while Eri-san's warm voice tries to comfort her. Don't worry, Mugi-chan, she says, but the kindness only seems to make the weight heavier. Meanwhile, Minato finds a forgotten gym jersey and realizes Nekozane left it behind. A classmate stops him with a worrying observation. She was seen outside looking completely off. The girl tries to explain that Nekozane claimed to be fine, but her vibe was all wrong. Before she can even finish, Minato doesn't wait for another word. He bolts, jersey in hand, driven by a sudden urge to find her. As he rushes, Minato's mind spirals. He's haunted by how she can be so close one moment and then feel miles away the next, leaving him feeling anxious and completely lost. Then he finds her. Tucked away in the woods, Nekozane is curled up in a ball, hiding her face from the world in a moment of total vulnerability. He hesitates for a second, but his resolve hardens. Even if it's just one small awkward step, he knows exactly where he needs to be, right by her side. Cut to a sudden crash and the sound of rain. Eri-san looks up to find a completely drenched Nekozane standing in the doorway, shivering and clutching a soaked cat. Mugi-chan? After a chaotic bath time for the cat, Eri-san tries to comfort Mugi-chan, wondering why she didn't just call for help. But Mugi-chan, clutching the fluffy cat, insists that doing it herself was the only way to actually be helpful. A gentle pat on the head and a soft call of her name. Eri-san's kindness hits home. Mugi-chan looks up, her eyes shimmering with genuine gratitude as she whispers a heartfelt thank you. The mood shifts instantly as we find Nekozane-san curled up and trembling in the shade of the trees. Minato notices her distress and steps in, his voice laced with worry. Is she okay, or is something seriously wrong? Instead of pushing her back to class, Minato does the one thing she actually needs. He just sits with her. In the heavy silence, Nekozane-san finally speaks, asking if he's about to force her back to the classroom. Minato avoids the question, instead commenting on how cool the breeze is, creating a small pocket of peace. Nekozane-san agrees, finding solace in the quiet air, while Minato struggles to find the right words to start a difficult conversation. Then the heartbreaking truth spills out. Nekozane-san confesses she feels like a burden to Eri-san, believing she's been told to stop visiting the cafe. Minato is completely blindsided by the revelation. Her grip tightens on her clothes as she recalls the words that crushed her, the feeling that she's simply not needed. As the wind whistles around them, Minato looks on, his expression turning solemn as he prepares to speak his mind. Drowning in self-doubt, Nekozane-san wonders if she completely misread everything. She thinks back to all the effort she put in to help, only to feel like it was all for nothing. She's on the verge of breaking. Just as the despair peaks, Minato snaps. He doesn't let her sink further into that darkness, cutting through the silence with a sudden explosive denial. That's not true at all. With raw emotion and total conviction, Minato shouts the truth she needs to hear. He refuses to let her believe her kindness was a mistake, declaring that there's no way everything she did for Eri-san was wrong. Total disbelief. Nekozane is frozen in shock, her mind racing as she refuses to believe what she's hearing. She's spiraling, recalling how Eri-san suggested it might be better if she didn't come. But then, a voice cuts through her doubt. Minato insists that Eri-san is simply worried and just wants her to take some time for herself. Minato admits he's just an outsider, but that's exactly why he believes Nekozane is the only one who can truly feel Eri-san's love. A tender memory flashes back to Eri-san hugging a young Mugi, whispering her gratitude. The truth comes out. Eri-san doesn't just care for her, she absolutely adores her. As Minato describes the gentle expression Eri-san had while talking about her, he suddenly pauses, his voice trembling as he begins to reveal his own feelings. He can't hold it back anymore. Blushing furiously, Minato shouts his truth. He knows exactly how wonderful she is, and that's the whole reason for everything. The emotional dam finally breaks. Nekozane bursts into tears, leaving Minato completely stunned and wide-eyed at her reaction. Panic sets in. While Nekozane continues to sob, Minato is a nervous wreck, internally celebrating the fact that Eri-san doesn't hate him while awkwardly trying to tell her that things are actually great. They sit together in the quiet of the woods, the tension slowly fading, until a sudden loud voice from the distance shatters the moment, calling out to them. The mood flips instantly as other students start whispering and speculating about the crying girl. Realizing they're being watched, Minato quickly tells her to stop staring so they don't attract more attention. In a sudden protective move, Minato throws a cloth over Nekozane's head to hide her tear-streaked face from the crowd. The onlookers are left in a frenzy of confusion as the pair makes a hasty retreat. The mood is heavy as the hooded girl asks if the stares they received were because of her. Minato can only stammer a response, eventually offering a soft apology. But the girl doesn't seem comforted. She's literally shaking with anxiety. She tries to brush it off, whispering that it's fine, but her tight grip on her hood tells a different story. Minato watches her in silence, the tension between them thick and uncomfortable. Trying to break the awkward silence, Minato asks about the time, wondering if everyone has already headed home. But just as he starts to speak, he's hit by a sudden violent coughing fit. He quickly brushes it off as a mistake, but the interruption is jarring. Minato admits he's not used to shouting, leaving his throat feeling wrecked. As he struggles to recover, the girl watches him, and a small, genuine smile finally breaks through her shy exterior. Still coughing, Minato decides to go grab some water to soothe his throat. The girl kindly offers him some lozenges from her bag, but he frantically declines, too flustered to accept. He makes his way back toward the school building, leaving her behind for a moment. Later, the two are sitting together in a more relaxed atmosphere. But suddenly something happens that leaves Minato completely stunned, his jaw practically hitting the floor. A soft rustle in the air signals a shift in the mood. Minato runs into Nekozane at the outdoor sinks, where she's refreshing herself. They share a quiet moment, agreeing that the crowds at the event were absolutely draining. It's a simple conversation, but the air feels different now. Being alone with her again brings back memories of that day, and Minato's nerves skyrocket. He tries to hide it by chugging water, but he's so frantic he ends up splashing himself. Nekozane catches on immediately, teasingly asking if he's nervous before shifting the topic to the upcoming relay race. Nekozane shares a quirky tip for calming nerves, writing a specific character on your palm and swallowing it. Minato follows her lead and writes the kanji for cat, only for her to reveal she was playing a prank. He was supposed to write person and he fell for it hook, line, and sinker. Despite the prank, Minato admits the ritual actually seemed to help his nerves. Nekozane giggles at how easy he was to trick, but then her expression shifts. She leans in and brings up that thing from the other day, turning the playful mood suddenly serious. The sports event is in full swing, and a classmate calls out to Nekozane-san, letting her know she's up next. As Nekozane-san heads off to join them, Minato is left standing there, wondering if she was about to tell him something important. Suddenly, the mood shifts as the girl with glasses offers a sincere apology to Nekozane-san for the other day. A flashback reveals a cold moment in the classroom where a simple invitation to hang out after school had gone unanswered. The girl admits she assumed Nekozane-san just preferred being alone, but the truth is far simpler. With an earnest expression, Nekozane-san clarifies that she actually wanted to go, she just happened to be busy that day. Feeling bad for the misunderstanding, Nekozane-san apologizes for how it came across. The tension melts away instantly when the other girl steps in to help her tie her headband, leaving Nekozane-san completely bewildered by the sudden kindness. Watching from a distance, Minato is stunned. He's never seen Nekozane-san this close with anyone else, and he can't help but wonder if they've suddenly become fast friends. But he's not the only one noticing. As other students start whispering about how straight-up cute Nekozane-san actually is, Minato feels a sudden, sharp jolt of realization. His secret admiration is becoming public knowledge. Just as he's processing the fact that everyone sees her the same way he does, Nekozane-san bursts into action with a sudden energetic bam. Her spirited side flashes before his eyes, snapping him back to reality. It's happening. Nekozane-san is finally stepping out of her shell and making friends. But as he watches her blend in with the others, a flicker of unease crosses Minato's face. A seed of anxiety takes root in his mind. He stares at her back, haunted by one terrifying question. Now that she has other people, will she start talking to him less? Amidst the lively chatter and excitement of the crowd, the noise suddenly fades away. A single voice cuts through the chaos, calling out his name, Seno-kun, and Minato looks up, completely caught off guard. A sudden bold move catches him off guard as she grabs his hand with a determined look. Her voice is clear and commanding. Come with me. Led away by the hand, Minato can only stare in a daze. The world around them seems to fade as he's pulled along, his mind completely blank. The sports festival ends in a roar of cheers for the red team, but for Minato and his companion, the result is a humbling last place. As they walk away exhausted, they share a quiet, awkward moment of reflection on their lack of speed. Suddenly, she leans in dangerously close. Minato's heart nearly leaps out of his chest, but the tension snaps when she reveals a slip of paper. It wasn't a confession. She just wanted to know if he wears contact lenses because of a prompt about someone with bad eyesight. Confused, Minato wonders why he was the one she picked over someone more obvious, like the glasses-wearing Mori-san. But then she drops a line that freezes him in place. Because you were the first person who came to mind. That one sentence sends Minato into a total meltdown of blushing. As the moment settles, she opens up about her relationship with Eri-san, revealing that Eri has told her how much she truly loves her. The conversation turns deep as she admits her past anxieties. She looks at Minato with genuine gratitude, confessing that without him, she'd still be too afraid to even speak to Eri. With a warm, radiant smile, she gives him a simple, "Thank you, Seno-kun." Minato is completely floored by the kindness, admitting to himself just how simple he is when it comes to her. Time skips forward into the crisp air of autumn, with the sports festival now a fading memory. Yet, as Minato walks to class, he can't stop replaying those words in his head. The way she said he was the first person she thought of. A normal morning greeting from Nekozane-san starts the day, but the atmosphere shifts instantly. With a sharp, observant gaze, she points out something he didn't expect. You aren't wearing your usual outfit. A cozy moment turns slightly chaotic when Nekozane explains why she's not wearing her usual hoodie. Her cat, Masamune, decided to use it as a hairball target. Minato can't help but notice the small change in her attire as the chilly weather sets in. For now, their everyday school life has quietly returned to normal. A notification from the photography club sparks an idea for a fall foliage trip, and Minato is instantly intrigued. But his thoughts are interrupted when he spots Nekozane chatting with Mori-san. It seems the two have grown surprisingly close since the sports festival. Mori-san is in full guardian mode, scolding Nekozane for forgetting her math assignment. But the mood shifts instantly when Mori-san turns her attention to Minato, teasingly pointing out how close he and Nekozane seem to be. Minato's only instinct? Hide. Then comes the question that makes the air freeze. Mori-san asks Nekozane point-blank if she and Minato are a thing. Nekozane's genuine confusion leaves Mori-san completely flustered, but the seed of curiosity has been planted. Overhearing everything, Minato's heart begins to hammer against his ribs. He knows he shouldn't be listening, but he's desperate to know what she truly thinks of him. Just then, Nekozane softly utters his name, and the tension reaches a breaking point. The bombshell drops. He's cute. Those three simple words hit Minato like a physical shock, leaving his brain practically shutting down in total disbelief. After the awkward encounter ends, Minato finds himself spiraling late at night. He reaches out to his friend Takada, who is busy rambling about a disgusting soda experiment involving cilantro, completely unaware of the crisis Minato is facing. Unable to keep it in, Minato asks the one question he's terrified to hear the answer to. Do you think I am cute? Takada's response is brutal and immediate, of course not, followed by a joke about him entering a beauty contest. The word cute starts to feel less like a compliment and more like a blow to his masculinity. As Takada explains that girls call almost everything cute, Minato feels a metaphorical stab to the heart. Is he even being seen as a guy? Then the crushing realization hits. Every time Nekozane has said cute in the past, it was always about cats. Minato descends into a spiral of despair, convinced that in Nekozane's eyes he isn't even a human. He's just another cute kitten. A morning greeting starts normally, but Minato can't shake a strange feeling. Every time he looks at Nekozane, she's staring. only to whip her head away the second he notices. Was it just his imagination, or is she actually watching him? It's not a fluke, she is absolutely staring. Panicked and confused, Minato starts spiraling, wondering if his sweater is ugly or if he's got some embarrassing food stains stuck in his hair. Finally gathering the courage to ask, Minato confronts her about the staring. The answer is simple, bedhead. He's mortified to realize she was just pointing out his messy hair the whole time. Then she lets out a little giggle, and Minato's ego takes a massive hit. He feels completely unmanly in the face of her laughter, while Nekozane feels a sudden pang of guilt for not telling him sooner. Trying to recover, Minato notices her untied shoelace. As he points it out, a strange heavy silence falls between them for a moment, leaving him wondering why the air suddenly feels so weird. His eyes drift to her cardigan where a bow hangs limp and undone. He asks if she's perhaps not very good at tying bows, and the question hits her like a bolt of lightning. She admits it with a shy blush, barely whispering that she's not. Minato is caught off guard by her vulnerability, while she dismisses the skill as something useless for her future. Nekozane tries to laugh it off, but Minato drops a total bombshell. With a deep blush, he admits the real reason he noticed. He just thought the messy bow was cute. The air freezes instantly. Nekozane is completely stunned, her face flushing red, while Minato suddenly realizes exactly how bold that comment sounded. Panic mode engaged. Nekozane reacts with a sudden slap and bolts down the hallway in a flurry of embarrassment. She screams that she wasn't making fun of him, calling him a dummy as she disappears from sight, leaving a bewildered Minato behind. Ta-da! Meet the star of the show, a tiny cat in a fancy bow, but the real talent is in the room. Mugi-chan is absolutely floored by Momoka's crafting skills. From scrunchies to a brand new necklace, Momoka's creativity is on another level, leaving Mugi completely impressed. Genius is the only word for it. Momoka isn't just making jewelry. She's on a mission to give Mugi a total makeover. After a quick tutorial and a flurry of photos, she crowns Mugi with a cute bow. She's so hyped that she's already planning Mugi's debut as an idol, but Mugi is having absolutely none of it. A hard no shuts down the idol dream instantly. Meanwhile, someone's watching from the sidelines and his heart is doing flips. Minato can't help but think one word, cute. But for Mugi, touching that bow brings back a memory. Strangely, she doesn't feel that same nervous, squirmy feeling she used to. Things are starting to change. Cut to the school's prep room, a cluttered warehouse of equipment where Minato finds himself on duty. Between a chaotic teacher and a photoshoot-obsessed classmate, he's just trying to survive the day. He's being extra careful with the gear, reminding himself not to drop anything. But fate has other plans. One sudden hit and everything goes south. Disaster strikes. Minato takes a nasty spill, sending equipment flying and leaving him face down in pain. While his classmates panic and apologize, Minato is left in a daze, blood dripping down his face. He's completely wiped out. This was definitely not how he planned his afternoon. Next stop, the infirmary. Minato is a total wreck, nursing his wounds and feeling guilty for the chaos he caused. He's just glad the equipment survived, but his body is screaming in pain. All he wants is to lie down and forget this embarrassing moment ever happened. But as he settles in, he discovers he's not alone. There, fast asleep and looking peaceful, is Nekozane. Minato freezes, caught completely off guard by the sight of her resting in the quiet room. His heart starts racing. Badum! Badum! He's totally flustered, wondering if she's actually sick, or if she's just doing what she does best. Napping. He knows he should probably just leave her alone and walk away, but he can't seem to move. Just as he's debating whether to stay or go, a soft voice cuts through the silence. Seno-kun. The sound of his own name sends him into a total panic, and he practically rips the curtain open in shock. Wait, she's still asleep. Minato is completely baffled, wondering if he just hallucinated or if she's actually sleep-talking. The realization hits him like a ton of bricks. She just said his name in her dreams. What on earth is she dreaming about? Minato is trapped in a bizarre dream where Nekozane treats him like a pet cat, limiting his churu sticks and petting him. He's absolutely losing it, screaming internally that he's not a cat and begging her to wake up. Minato snaps back to reality, breathless and shaken from the dream. Nekozane wakes up casually, but the mood shifts instantly when she notices something on his forehead and reaches out to touch him. He tries to play off his injury as a simple trip, but as Nekozane leans in close to check on him, Minato's brain practically shuts down from the sudden intimacy. The romantic tension is shattered by a sudden intrusion. A man with glasses frantically tries to hide while a booming voice calls out for Mugi, leaving a bewildered Minato wondering who on earth just burst into the room. Panic sets in as the teacher asks about a girl with cat eyes, and Nekozane is literally hiding right under the blanket. Minato breaks into a cold sweat, lying through his teeth while desperately trying to change the subject. While the teacher rants about the class-skipping girl who treats the infirmary like a hotel, he notices Minato's injury. He orders him over for a patch-up, leaving Minato completely flustered. Hidden beneath the sheets, Nekozane is getting restless. Just as Minato is about to move, she reaches out and gives him a sudden, mischievous poke that sends him jumping out of his skin. After a few more teasing pokes from the blanket, Minato finally gets patched up. The teacher warns him to keep an eye on the wound and, ironically, asks him to report if that mysterious girl ever appears. The moment the teacher leaves, Nekozane makes her grand reveal, throwing off the covers with a flourish. She admits she just wanted to pull a prank, leaving Minato a complete mess of emotions. Nekozane worries about the teacher's stress, but Minato reveals a shocking secret. The reason he knows the teacher's habits is that the man is actually his uncle. The reveal leaves Nekozane completely stunned. A sudden breeze sweeps through the room, and as the girl catches a glimpse of the boy, she's struck by a sudden realization. He looks incredibly cool. The boy remains completely oblivious, but the girl is already calculating. With the coast clear, she decides it's finally time to make her move. With a sudden feline intensity in her eyes, Nekozane lunges forward and grabs his hand, leaving him frozen and stuttering her name in surprise. The world seems to shrink down to just the two of them. Flustered and heart-pounding, he can't help but wonder if they've ever been this close before. The tension is suffocating, their faces flushing as a fragmented memory of a past encounter flashes through their minds. Panic strikes. He abruptly pulls his hand away with a loud crash, apologizing frantically, while trying to bring up the conversation they were just having. But the spark is gone. A cold, simple sorry from her leaves him completely bewildered, the silence between them feeling heavier than ever. Now he's spiraling. As cold sweat drips down his face in the oppressive silence, one terrifying question screams in his head. Did he just mess up big time? Total devastation. He's a shell of a man, slumped over his desk in the photography club room, while his confused teammates wonder why he's acting like the world has ended. Even a few sympathetic pats on the head can't save him. He's trapped in a loop of regret, convinced that he's left Nekozane feeling absolutely miserable. The scene opens with pure chaos, as a girl snaps photos of a crashed-out boy, while the teacher yells for her to cut it out. Meanwhile, Minato stands outside a door, heart racing, desperately rehearsing an apology to Nekozane for the other day. He's a total nervous wreck, practically hyperventilating as he debates whether to start with a greeting or dive straight into the apology. Finally, he takes the plunge and slides the door open, only to come face to face with Nekozane in a moment of pure frozen shock. The tension is thick as Minato tries to stammer out her name, but Nekozane doesn't give him a chance. With a curt good morning, she brushes past him, leaving him completely stunned and stranded in the hallway. Utterly defeated, Minato ends up slumped over a table in the infirmary, looking like his world has ended. The sensei recognizes him as the kid from yesterday and tells him to lift his head so he can check on his injury. As he's treated, Minato confesses his guilt, fearing he might have hurt someone. He's spiraling into a pit of despair, convinced that the kind girl he wants to treat with care now absolutely hates him. The sensei isn't entirely convinced, dismissing it as a youthful sort of problem. He offers a piece of blunt but necessary advice. Stop imagining the worst on his own and actually talk to her. Things might go better than he thinks. The mood shifts when Minato notices a bruise on the sensei's face, leading to a vent about the teacher's own rough day. But when Minato asks about the cat-eyed girl, the realization hits like a bolt of lightning. The sensei has been talking about Mugi this whole time. The family tree is finally revealed. The sensei is actually Mugi's uncle. While he bluntly claims Mugi isn't the least bit cute, he admits that her being a handful is no surprise given who her father is. The truth is a disaster. Mugi's dad is a total doting mess who becomes even worse when he's drunk. From demanding booze to forced, awkward cuddles, the chaotic family dynamic leaves Minato completely bewildered. Minato asks if the sensei can do something about it, but the teacher shuts it down, insisting it's a family problem he can't fix. Back in the lively chatter of the classroom, Minato sits in a heavy silence, the distance between him and Nekozane feeling wider than ever. The air is thick with awkwardness as Minato finds himself spiraling into thought. He realizes he knows almost nothing about Nekozane's life at home. His mind flashes back to a chilling moment when she looked at her own injury and asked with haunting indifference if he thought it would even heal. Panic flares in Minato's chest as he stammers a response, recalling the teacher's reassurance that she'd be fine in a few days. But as he looks at her, his gaze locks onto that wound, and a sense of dread begins to settle in. Then, the grim reality of her home life surfaces. A drunken father shouting for more booze and a household in chaos. Nekozane describes it with a terrifying calmness, admitting that while her father's bad moods are common, she's simply used to him trashing the place. Minato is absolutely floored, the weight of her words hitting him like a physical blow. Unable to stay silent, he asks the one question that cuts through the tension. Does she ever feel anything about this situation? Or does she ever just not want to go home? Her answer is blunt and heartbreaking. She just wants to move out as soon as possible and live a quiet life with a cat. Minato's heart sinks as the truth becomes undeniable. Everything is because of her father. Desperate to help, Minato tentatively suggests talking to Eri-san, but Nekozane shuts it down. She acknowledges that Eri-san might listen, but her resolve is firm. This is her problem, and she intends to handle it herself. Just as the emotional weight reaches a breaking point, the mood flips instantly. With a sudden explosive movement, Nekozane jumps up, leaving Minato frozen in complete shock. The teacher's voice cuts through the silence, announcing that class is starting and ordering everyone to their seats. As Minato settles back into his chair, the reality of the situation sinks in. This isn't just a quirk. This is a serious problem. While the teacher drones on about page 50, a sudden soft sensation breaks Minato's concentration. In the quiet of the classroom, Nekozane's hand reaches out and gently touches his, a wordless gesture that says more than any conversation could. Later on his walk home, a mysterious black cat emerges from the greenery, watching him with wide eyes. A sudden mew and a quick leap leave Minato jolted, a small strange echo of the unexpected turns his day has taken. A crushing feeling of déjà vu hits Minato, leaving his chest aching. He's haunted by the memory of a girl avoiding him and her cold words about wanting to move out. He tells himself it's better to stay away if she hates him that much, but he just can't let it go. Trying to shake off the gloom, he makes his way toward the cat cafe, his fist clenched in frustration. But as he arrives, he notices something strange. The lights are actually on. His hope is short-lived when he spots the closed sign on the door. Just then, Eri-san steps out, surprising him. She apologizes for the shop being closed today, leaving Minato flustered and stumbling over his words. He quickly apologizes for interrupting her day off, but Eri-san sees right through his nervous energy. With a knowing smile, she asks the one question that makes the air feel heavy. Did something happen? For a moment, he considers opening up, thinking Eri-san is the only one who could help him understand Nekozane. But then, a memory flashes back, Nekozane's firm voice insisting that her problems are hers to handle alone. He shuts down, claiming it's nothing. As he walks away under the fading sky, a bittersweet childhood memory of a sunset with his mother surfaces, deepening the loneliness of the moment. Despite the pain, his resolve returns. He knows he has to talk to Nekozane properly one more time, but just as he's lost in thought, a shoe steps right into his path. A voice calls out, "Seno-kun?" He looks up and there she is, Nekozane. The very person he was just agonizing over is standing right in front of him, catching him completely off guard. An oppressive silence falls between them until she breaks it, asking where he's headed. As they talk, a surprising detail emerges. She handles the grocery shopping and cooking because it's just her and her dad at home. When she asks about his plans, he admits he's just heading home. As she turns to leave with a casual "well then," he can't let her go just yet. "Hold on," he calls out, the atmosphere between them suddenly shifting. A quick call from his dad interrupts the moment, but the real shock comes from Nekozane. She casually mentions her father will be out drinking late, triggering a dark realization in Minato's mind. This man is a total mess when he's drunk. Minato can't keep it in. He practically begs her, asking if she's really okay going back to that person's place. But Nekozane's response is a cold splash of water. She doesn't particularly mind. One question from her, "Why did you ask?" leaves Minato completely frozen. Before he can even process it, she turns her back on him with a simple distant "see you." As they drift apart on the bridge, Minato tries to salvage the mood with a gentle wish for her injury to heal. It's a small kindness, but the silence between them feels suffocating. Watching her walk away, Minato spirals into guilt. He feels pathetic, thinking that his own problems are nothing compared to the tough situation Nekozane is enduring. Then he just snaps. Minato screams across the bridge, his voice echoing with desperation as he tells her she doesn't have to go back to someone like that. He doesn't stop there. He sprints toward her, apologizing for everything. From the infirmary to the way he's made her feel, he's completely unraveling in front of her. He pours his heart out, admitting he's being selfish, but he simply cannot stand to see her suffer. He's determined to find a way to help, but just as he reaches his breaking point, Nekozane stops him. The emotional tension hits a brick wall. Nekozane looks at him with total confusion, asking the one question that makes his brain practically shut down. "What are you talking about?" The reveal is a total disaster. Minato blurts out his fear that her father is violent, only for Nekozane to drop the bomb. She was talking about a cat. The entire dramatic rescue was based on a massive misunderstanding. A sudden slip, a loud crash, and total chaos. Just as he's processing his thoughts, the ground disappears beneath him, sending him plummeting in a clumsy heap. He's sprawled on the stairs, looking completely defeated. While she asks if he's okay, he tries to save face by claiming he broke his fall properly, even though he looks anything but. But the tension doesn't last long. Instead of sympathy, she bursts into a fit of giggles, leaving him absolutely bewildered by her reaction. He's practically melting from embarrassment while she can't stop laughing. He complains that she's overdoing it, but the sheer absurdity of the moment has them both caught in a weird, giddy energy. Then the mood shifts. They finally address the elephant in the room, the infirmary incident, and she asks the one question that makes the air go still. Why was he avoiding her? With a soft, honest confession, she admits that being around Seno-kun makes her feel tickish and restless. She doesn't even understand these feelings herself, but she's finally putting them into words. She apologizes for the distance she put between them, admitting that while she ran away, she never actually hated it. Seno-kun can finally breathe again, realizing he hadn't ruined everything. A soft, heartfelt thank you follows. In this quiet moment, her gratitude for his worry hits him harder than any fall ever could. Just as the romantic tension reaches its peak, gurgle, a loud stomach growl shatters the mood instantly, turning a heartfelt moment into a hilarious disaster. Fast forward to December and winter has officially arrived, and just as expected, the cat-like girl has fully entered hibernation mode, curled up in a fluffy fortress of blankets and hand warmers. Minato is on a mission in the library, hunting for the perfect reference book for class. He finds a stunning photo collection that catches his eye, completely unaware that a pair of mysterious eyes is watching him from the shadows. Caught up in the excitement, Minato shares his discovery with the girl beside him, imagining how it could help their club photos. But his hype is cut short by a sudden, piercing scream from the librarian, sending Minato into a total panic as books fly everywhere. Once the dust settles, the two share a quiet, awkward apology. As they put the books back, Minato can't help but wonder if this girl is the same one he encountered at the entrance ceremony, though he quickly convinces himself he was mistaken. Trying to keep the conversation going, Minato asks if she's also looking for class materials. Her response is a total curveball. She isn't there for any particular reason, she just happened to see him. The mood shifts when Minato spots a specific mystery series. To his surprise, Nekozane recognizes it, sparking a rare moment of shared interest between the two. Minato goes full fanboy, enthusiastically explaining the clever twists of the novel. But the moment he stops to breathe, he realizes he's been dominating the conversation and panics, desperately trying to bring her back into the chat. The reveal is unexpected. Nekozane admits she doesn't really like novels, preferring picture books about cats. Yet despite her tastes, she tells him she's actually curious about the book he likes. Seizing the moment, Minato nervously offers to lend her the book. He's so anxious about her reaction that he practically apologizes in advance, warning her that it's totally fine if it doesn't match her taste. The simple, curious, "You sure?" the tension breaks. Minato agrees, and just like that, a small but significant bridge is built between them as the book changes hands. Later, lying in his room and texting a friend, Minato can't stop smiling. Thinking back to his lonely middle school days, this simple interaction feels like a huge victory. It finally feels like they're becoming real friends. A single phone call is about to shatter Minato's entire understanding of social norms. His friend Takada drops a truth bomb. Everything he's been doing with that girl is exactly what friends do. Minato's reaction? Pure, unadulterated shock. He tries to rationalize it, recalling their talks in class, their weekend outings, and that walk after the festival. But as he lists the evidence, the reality hits him like a ton of bricks. Is this really just friendship? Or is he just completely oblivious? Then comes the Yo Buddy lecture. Takada explains the different tiers of friendship, leaving Minato in a state of total existential crisis. He's now convinced there's a whole secret language of hey buddies and what's up homies that he's missed his entire life. Just as Takada tries to cheer him up for finally making a friend, Minato's overthinking kicks into overdrive. The mood turns dark instantly. What if he's the only one who thinks they're friends? Meanwhile, over at the Rescue Cat Cafe, something truly shocking happens. Nekozane is actually reading a book. Her coworker can't believe her eyes, wondering what could possibly have the cat girl so focused. The secret is out. She borrowed the book from Minato, but in typical Nekozane fashion, her review is a total enigma. I don't really get it, she claims, leaving her coworker completely baffled. Her coworker expects her to fall asleep halfway through, as she always does. But the plot is too wild to ignore, a cat that swallowed an important key. It's absolute madness, and Nekozane is surprisingly invested. 1 week later, the winter chill has arrived, and so has Nekozane to return the book. Minato's heart is practically drumming out of his chest as he nervously asks the one question that matters. Did she actually like it? The verdict? It was confusing, but the cat and the ending won her over. Minato is absolutely beaming that she enjoyed it, even a little. The bond deepens as she asks him about his taste in mysteries. Minato realizes he's actually a fan of the genre, but when he asks why she's curious, Nekozane gives him the classic cold shoulder. No reason. She might be reading his books, but she's still a mystery herself. A soft, hesitant admission leaves a heavy silence in the air. Nekozane's gaze is distant as she simply says she just wanted to know, leaving Minato completely stunned and frozen in place. He clings to the hope that she was just talking about a book, but the doubt lingers. Even a congratulatory message from Takada about making a friend can't stop Minato from overthinking every single detail. As he watches her from a distance, one question consumes his mind. What exactly is the relationship between him and Nekozane? Meanwhile, a different kind of friendship is on display. A light-haired boy teases his friend about his middle school connections, comparing the effort of keeping in touch to growing mini tomatoes in elementary school. With a confident grin and a basketball in hand, the light-haired boy makes a grand entrance. He's already claimed the court, jokingly claiming that heroes always make a late appearance. Saturday arrives, and Minato is deep in a gaming grind, distracted by a vague invitation from Takada. But his peace is shattered when a visitor arrives at his house, and the sound of footsteps heading straight for his room signals the end of his solitude. Bam! The door flies open as Takada bursts in with explosive energy. Before Minato can even process the surprise, he's being dragged out of his room for a mission of utmost importance, getting ramen. Minato tries to maintain some boundaries, but Takada is an unstoppable force of chaos. A promise of free IK ramen is the only thing that keeps Minato from completely giving up on the outing. The mood shifts instantly when Takada drops a bombshell question, is the store ahead where Minato's girl works? Minato practically short-circuits, desperately trying to stop his friend from charging forward. A flustered Minato spirals into a panic, worrying that visiting the cat cafe with impure motives would be wrong. Takada is completely baffled by the reaction, but he offers a glimmer of hope. Maybe a chance encounter is just around the corner. The tension is palpable as two boys spy on a girl from a distance. While one looks on with curiosity, Seno is completely frozen, his voice failing him as he stutters in sheer shock. After a clumsy attempt at small talk about cat cafes, the awkward silence is broken. Seno finally gathers enough courage to introduce his middle school friend Takada into the mix. Seno is spiraling, terrified that another personality clash is about to explode, but Takada bursts onto the scene with an explosion of energy, introducing himself with a loud, friendly greeting that contrasts sharply with Nekozane's quiet, one-word response. Surprisingly, Takada and Nekozane hit it off instantly, chatting easily about the kanji in her name. Seno watches from the sidelines, relieved that they get along, but he's caught off guard when Nekozane asks if they're heading somewhere. Then Takada throws a total curveball. He invites Nekozane to join them for lunch. While Takada thinks it's the obvious move, Seno's brain practically shuts down in a panic. The world stops for a second as Nekozane gives her answer. With a simple let's go, she agrees, leaving Seno in a state of absolute disbelief. The trio arrives at a family restaurant where Seno questions the choice of venue, but Takada has a mischievous glint in his eye. He's taking full control of the situation now. Takada reveals his master plan. By sitting across from Seno, he forces Nekozane to sit right next to him. He declares himself the ultimate wingman, while Seno internally screams in horror at the sudden proximity. Seno is a nervous wreck, fidgeting wildly because she's just too close for comfort. Finding the scene adorably pure, Takada makes a strategic exit to the bathroom, leaving the two of them alone to navigate the awkwardness. Takada hopes for a romantic spark, but when he peeks back, he finds them bonding over a weird talking cat robot instead. It's not exactly the date he pictured, but seeing them actually talking is a win in his book. A cozy meal at a family restaurant, but the atmosphere is buzzing with curiosity. The light-haired boy tries to get to know Nekozane better, asking if she visits places like this often. She admits she doesn't, unless someone is kind enough to invite her. Then, the conversation takes a dangerous turn as the light-haired boy brings up Seno's middle school days. He's not just talking though, he's pulling out the evidence. Seno's eyes widen in pure panic as a phone screen is brandished like a weapon. Seno desperately tries to block the view, but Nekozane is locked in. She's not letting those photos slip away, her expression a mix of intense curiosity and stubbornness. The battle for the phone is on. The reveal is shocking. A version of Seno with glasses appears, looking surprisingly intellectual, but the light-haired boy isn't done yet, mentioning nuclear bed hair from a school trip, sending a mortified Seno sprinting away to get drinks just to escape. While Seno hides in shame by the drink machine, his friend spills the tea on his earnest nature. He tells Nekozane about a time he joked about being paid back in yakisoba bread, only for Seno to actually go out and buy it. The sheer sincerity is almost unbelievable. The light-haired boy laughs at how Seno panicked over a simple errand, concluding that he's just a remarkably straightforward person. As Nekozane listens, she seems to be seeing a whole new side of the boy sitting next to her. But the smart friend has his own skeletons in the closet. A flashback reveals his own chaotic side, a complete and utter obsession with gacha machines that once kept him glued to the spot, begging for just one more spin. As the group parts ways, the light-haired boy gives Nekozane a polite goodbye, but the mood flips instantly when he turns to Seno. Without warning, he delivers a heavy punch to Seno's arm, leaving him gasping in pain. Seno is completely bewildered, wondering why he's being attacked out of nowhere. The light-haired boy just laughs it off with a cryptic, "Do your best," leaving Seno more confused than ever. With a final demand for free ramen next time, the friend disappears, leaving Seno and Nekozane in a sudden heavy silence. As they walk, Nekozane looks at him with a soft gaze, noting that he seems different today than usual. A quiet walk and a surprising compliment. Nekozane comments on the fresh feeling of the day, attributing it to Seno's company with Takada-kun. Seno is confused, but Nekozane's inner thoughts reveal a deep sense of gratitude toward the nice guy by her side. A single word, glasses, is enough to send Seno spiraling into a cringe-filled memory of his high school debut. But the mood shifts instantly when Nekozane admits something unexpected. She actually wants to meet the middle school version of him. Seno tries to shut the idea down, warning her that there's nothing good to see. He describes his past self as a gloomy loner who did nothing but hide away with his books. But Nekozane doesn't see a loner. She sees a foundation. With a tender gaze, she tells him that those lonely days are exactly what allowed the Seno of today to exist. She goes further, praising a novel he recommended and linking his academic success to his love for reading. Seno is completely floored. The pathetic past he wanted to forget is suddenly being framed as a strength. Lost in a daze, Seno realizes that Nekozane possesses a strength and a way of thinking that he could never imagine for himself. He's just starting to admit how much he admires her when her voice snaps him back to the present. Caught in a romantic haze, Seno's face is bright red, and Nekozane isn't letting him off the hook. But while the tension peaks between them, we cut to Takada, who is currently fighting a losing battle against his own hopeless sense of direction. Back at school, a new trend has taken over the classroom, a popular fortune-telling website. All it takes is a birthday to reveal a glimpse of the future. Nekozane takes the lead and enters Seno's birthday, September 3rd. The result is an ominous warning about unexpected events and an unforeseen outcome, leaving Seno wondering what on earth is about to happen. Curious, Seno asks for her birthday and Nekozane reveals it's December 27th. As he processes the date and glances at the calendar, a sudden realization hits him, and it looks like he's just discovered something huge. Minato is hit with a sudden realization that sends him into a total panic. Nekozane's birthday is only 5 days away, and as if the universe is mocking him, his fortune warns that he's likely to be troubled by unexpected events. The struggle is real. Minato spirals into a research hole, frantically searching for the perfect gift while cycling through the most generic options imaginable. Keychains, cosmetics, nothing feels right. He truly wants to show his appreciation for everything Nekozane has done for him this past year, but he's completely clueless. Desperate for guidance, he turns to the one person who might have the answers, Guda-senpai. Minato works up the courage to ask Guda-senpai for some romantic intel. Since it's his first time ever giving a gift to a girl, he's hoping the experienced senior can give him a winning reference. The answer is a total power move, a necklace. Minato is absolutely floored by the maturity of the choice, though Guda admits it was partly because she actually wanted one. Just as Minato is taking notes, the door slams open. Kiyomiya-senpai has overheard everything, and she's not about to let this conversation end without her input. Kiyomiya shuts down the necklace idea instantly, calling it a rehash. She tells a bewildered Minato that he's like a newly hatched chick who needs to find some actual originality. A dangerous idea begins to form in Kiyomiya's mind. She sees Minato's innocence as the perfect opportunity for a prank, wondering how funny it would be to suggest something absurd, like 100 roses. Guda tries to stop the madness, fearing Minato might take a joke too far and accidentally propose with a ring. But Minato, now fired up by the word originality, decides to trust his own instincts. Minato heads to a variety shop to hunt for that original gift, feeling completely out of place as a lone guy in the store. But just as he's browsing, a familiar voice jump scares him. Nekozane is right behind him! Minato is in a total panic at the store, his brain short-circuiting as he tries to find the perfect gift. After a frantic exchange with the shop assistant, he spots it, a cat plushie that seems absolutely perfect for Nekozane. The moment he hands it over, Nekozane hugs the plushie with a sweetness that leaves Minato completely dazed. But the romantic mood vanishes instantly when he flips the price tag. 15,000 yen? His wallet just took a devastating hit. As he walks away, Minato convinces himself that a cat-themed gift was the right call for her. But a fleeting memory of a conversation with a certain girl suggests there might be more to the story than he realizes. The school is buzzing with energy as the teacher announces the start of winter break. While the rest of the class erupts in joy, Minato is lost in thought, reflecting on how much has changed over the past year. With break just around the corner, Minato's nerves are shot. He's already got the gift, but the pressure to actually make a move is making him spiral into a complete internal meltdown. Finally, he gathers every ounce of courage he has and drops the big question, is she free on the 27th? The air between them suddenly turns electric as they lock eyes in a heavy expectant silence. Then comes the crushing blow. She's busy. Between plans with Momo and a work shift, Nekozane's schedule is packed, leaving Minato's heart shattered in an instant. He puts on a brave face, telling her it's no big deal, but inside he's absolutely destroyed. The moment she looks away, he practically collapses, feeling like all that effort for the gift was just a cruel joke. But while Minato is mourning his failure, Nekozane is doing some secret mental math. She knows her day is full, but she's already wondering if there's a window of time after her shift ends. Just when he thinks it's over, she gives him a surprising "then sure," leaving Minato completely stunned. But as the scene fades, a mysterious warning appears, an unforeseen outcome may be waiting for him. And so it's been decided. Minato is in a total trance, his mind drifting as he walks. He's so dazed he doesn't even notice the world around him, until a sudden loud woof jolts him back to reality. He's walking alongside a girl and her dog, but his brain is clearly still processing something huge. The tension finally breaks with a simple, "then sure." Those two words send Minato into a spiral of pure disbelief. He can't believe she actually made time for him, and the realization that he's really seeing her on the 27th has him completely frozen in place. Pure, unadulterated bliss. Minato is practically floating, clutching his face in a moment of absolute victory. As he gazes up at the sky, only one thought echoes in his head. He is so incredibly glad he mustered the courage to ask her out. Fast forward to chapter 31, where the holiday spirit has officially arrived. Two girls, decked out in adorable reindeer and Santa gear, are surrounded by a mountain of gourmet food and sweets. Tonight is all about their exclusive, cozy girls' night in. The party prep is high energy. Pizza, cupcakes, and decorations are slammed onto the table with a series of loud bams. "Merry Christmas," they cheer, clinking glasses in a celebratory toast, though one of them looks significantly less hyped than the other. First things first, the food must be documented. While Momo is obsessed with getting the perfect snap for social media, Nekozane is just starving and ready to dive in. Between bites of delicious food, they chat about winter break and the school friends whose plans fell through. "Just look at these cat cupcakes." Momo went all out to make the night special for Mugi-chan, crafting these adorable treats by hand. Even the usually stoic Mugi-chan can't help but admit they're cute. It starts as a sweet moment of hesitation, with Mugi-chan thinking it's almost a waste to eat something so precious. Momo even adds a store-bought Santa cupcake to complete the set. But then, in a sudden flash of brutality, Mugi-chan stabs the Santa cupcake with a fork. "Anyway, let's eat!" Total chaos. Momo is absolutely horrified by the sudden execution of the Santa cupcake, wondering how Mugi-chan flipped so fast. The logic? It's just Santa. Now the festive treat is a splattered mess, the kind of disaster you'd only see in a viral post on X. The conversation shifts to something far more interesting. Momo mentions she recently had pizza with Seno-kun, which immediately triggers a stare from Mugi-chan. Momo starts grilling her. Was it just the two of them? Two boys? Did they hit on her? But as Mugi-chan brushes it off, a new story about Seno's middle school days is about to unfold. While the black-haired girl is lost in a daydream about someone's glasses, Momo is in the middle of a full-blown sulk. A playful exchange over food decorations ends with Momo feeling a sudden, unexpected wave of guilt for Santa. The night winds down as the black-haired girl emerges from the bath, thanking Momo for the favor. In a cozy, effortless move, she slides right over to join Momo on the floor. A simple scroll through social media changes the mood. Seeing a couple enjoying the winter lights makes Momo admit it looks fun, but for the black-haired girl, it sparks a quiet, hidden yearning for the same thing. Then comes the bombshell question. "Don't you have someone you like, Momo?" The suddenness of it leaves Momo completely frozen, before she softly admits there is someone she's curious about. Momo drifts back to a summer festival months ago, recalling a masked stranger who helped her when she was lost. Even now, she wonders if their paths will ever cross again. A confession so sweet it leaves the black-haired girl calling her cute. Curiosity leads to a deeper question. What does it actually feel like to like someone? The black-haired girl struggles to explain it, describing that nagging, constant need to be by someone's side. The heavy emotional atmosphere snaps back to reality as they settle into bed. The deep talk about love quickly pivots into a light-hearted debate about how delicious some donuts were. Lying side by side, the black-haired girl feels the electric excitement of a school trip sleepover. In the quiet of the room, she asks a question that shifts the focus. "Is high school fun?" A simple smiling yes from Momo is all it takes. But as the black-haired girl processes the answer, her mind begins to drift back to the complicated days of her own middle school years. The memories are bittersweet, and the painful ones still sting more than the happy ones. Yet, looking around her room, she starts to wonder if those hardships were actually a necessary part of her journey. A tender moment unfolds between two friends as the long-haired girl reflects on their bond, admitting that a specific moment in the past is the reason they were able to become friends. But it's not just words. It's Christmas. The long-haired girl surprises her friend with a gift, only for the short-haired girl to reveal she has something prepared too. The excitement peaks when the long-haired girl finds the tea gift so cute she wants to keep it as a permanent display. The gift exchange continues with a cute accessory, but the mood shifts when the short-haired girl suddenly claims it's not enough. The long-haired girl panics, thinking her present failed, but her friend quickly clarifies that's not what she meant. The truth comes out. The short-haired girl feels overwhelmed by the kindness she's received, from homemade sweets to thoughtful gifts. She tells Mugi-chan that compared to everything she's been given, her own gift feels completely inadequate. Mugi-chan doesn't let her dwell on the guilt, flashing a bright smile. She simply explains that she did it because she wanted to, no strings attached, just a genuine desire to do something for her friend. With the tension resolved, the two girls share a final warm exchange of thanks before drifting off to sleep, the quiet night snowfall mirroring the peace between them. But as the scene shifts, those same words, "I am grateful to you," echo in a different memory, involving a boy and the short-haired girl, Momo. Fast forward to December 27th, where a nervous boy stands alone in the freezing cold. His heart is racing as he checks his phone, wondering if he's in the right spot, and if she'll actually show up after her shift ends at 8. He can't help but worry, remembering how busy Momo has been lately. He questions if asking her to meet up was too much, fearing she might be too exhausted from her day. Suddenly a ding from his phone breaks the silence. Just as he's spiraling into anxiety, a familiar voice whispers right behind him. Momo has arrived, catching him completely off guard and leaving him frozen in a mix of shock and excitement. A single look, and the air completely changes. Nekozane appears looking softer than ever with a gentle apology for keeping him waiting. Minato can only stare, his face flushing as he's hit by the sudden impact of her presence. The winter chill is no match for the awkward heat between them. As they exchange polite greetings, Minato can't help but notice something is off, or rather, something is different. Nekozane feels different today, and he can't quite put his finger on why. Then he sees it, a tiny cute hair clip. When he mentions it, Nekozane reveals it was a Christmas gift from Momo, who even helped her pick out her outfit. It's a rare glimpse into her world, and the effort she put in just for this meeting. One insecure question from her, and Minato's brain practically short-circuits. "Does it look weird?" she asks, and he reacts with a panicked, blushing intensity, desperate to tell her it's anything but. He's a total mess, covering his mouth as he admits he's just nervous. But instead of awkwardness, his honesty earns him a soft chuckle from Nekozane. The tension breaks, and they begin to walk together through the snow. A quick detour to the park leads to a reveal that's almost too cute to handle. Nekozane pulls out her phone to show him a picture from Christmas. 2 festive cats looking absolutely precious. While they bond over the fluffiness of winter cats, Minato is fighting a losing battle with his own social anxiety, recalling how his nerves nearly sent him to the infirmary. Yet, as they share the screen, the world feels a little smaller and a lot warmer. A shared screen, a beautiful shot of sparkling snow, and a compliment that hits Minato right in the heart. When Nekozane tells him he's really good at taking pictures, he's left completely breathless. Then comes the moment he's been building up to. With a blush that could light up the night, Minato hands over a small, wrapped package. "Happy birthday." The words are simple, but the tension is electric. The reveal is perfect. Inside is a tube of hand cream featuring a cat that looks exactly like Masamune. It's a thoughtful, quirky gift that proves Minato has been paying attention to every little detail she loves. Minato hands over a gift, explaining it's made with ingredients safe even for animals to lick. Nekozane grips the package tightly, her eyes shimmering with emotion as she tells him how happy she is. With a sigh of relief, Minato decides he can't let her be the only one giving. He has something for her too. But just as he reaches for his gift, Nekozane beats him to the punch with a sudden, unexpected "here." It's a cute cat-themed bookmark. Minato is completely thrown off, wondering why she'd give him a gift when it's not even his birthday, while Nekozane simply notes his love for reading. She explains it's a thank you for everything, including the situation with Eri-san. Minato tries to protest, but she shuts him down with a gentle, "It's fine," leaving him staring at the gift in a daze. A genuine smile breaks across Minato's face as he promises to treasure the bookmark. Nekozane watches him, her expression softening before she begins to wander off into the snow. Lost in the beauty of the pure white landscape, Nekozane enjoys leaving her footprints in the fresh powder. She turns back and calls out to Minato, beckoning him to come over. While playing with the snow, Nekozane suddenly loses her footing. In a chaotic blur, she slides right into Minato, nearly crushing his windpipe as he panics, screaming for her to get off his neck. After a loud crash, Nekozane looks down at the flattened Minato and asks if he's okay. He can only manage a muffled reply about getting snow in his mouth, prompting a small teasing chuckle from her. The mood shifts instantly as Nekozane asks a question that catches him completely off guard. Does he think she's a cold person? Minato can only blink in confusion. She opens up about her past, admitting she only ever cared about the things she loved, ignoring school and everyone else. She knows that to the rest of the world, that kind of indifference looks like being cold. Minato reflects on a moment of loneliness, but then he looks at Nekozane with a soft, knowing gaze. He tells her that if she were really as cold as people think, she never would have stayed behind to help him with that assignment. Nekozane begins to open up, her voice barely a whisper. She recalls a time when her world was small, centered only on the things she loved, like a certain shop. For her, that was enough, or at least, that's how she thought her life was supposed to be. But everything changed. A thoughtful birthday gift and shared moments in the cold have shifted her perspective. She admits to herself that lately, life has actually become fun, and it's all because of Seno-kun. Under the glow of a winter moon, the tension breaks as Nekozane gives him a radiant smile. She tells him how truly glad she is that they became friends, leaving Minato completely stunned and struggling to find the words to respond. A rush of memories floods through Minato's mind, every small interaction they've had. The emotion is so overwhelming that his brain practically short-circuits, and he ends up flopping backward right into the snow with a soft poof. Nekozane looks down at him, bewildered by his sudden collapse. Flustered and blushing hard, Minato hides his face, barely managing to mutter that this whole moment just feels like a dream. Suddenly, Nekozane pokes his cheeks with her freezing hands, startling him. When he yells in surprise, she just giggles, admitting she was just checking to see if she was dreaming too. As she lingers close, she whispers that he's warm, making Minato's heart race. He tries to play it cool, protesting that he's not a human hand warmer, but the shy smile on his face gives him away. The clock hits 9:20 p.m. as they walk home, and Minato starts to panic about the time. He worries her father might be angry, but Nekozane is completely unfazed, casually deciding to handle the situation to send her dad a simple cat sticker. Minato, meanwhile, is spiraling, wondering if he needs to formally apologize to her father. As they reach her door, Minato realizes this isn't the first time he's walked her home. He did the same after the summer festival. He wonders if their bond had already started back then, just as Nekozane offers a soft thank you for the walk. The air is cold, but the silence between them is even colder. A simple see you then and they're already walking away. But as Minato watches her leave, a sudden wave of panic hits him. Is this really how they're just going to end things? His mind goes into overdrive. They're friends now, right? But with the new year separating them, he realizes there's something crucial he forgot to say. He can't let her walk away like this. Nekozane-san! He lunges back, heart racing and breath short. He's practically vibrating with nerves as he tries to find the words, but all that comes out is a pathetic, stuttering mess. Then he just lets it all out in one desperate, blushing scream. Please stay with me next year too. The silence that follows is deafening. Minato immediately regrets the intensity of his outburst, his brain screaming in panic as he tries to backtrack. No, I mean... He's absolutely mortified, covering his face as he realizes how that sounded. He just wanted to say he looked forward to another year together, but then a soft voice cuts through his panic. Me too. She turns to him with a smile that could melt the winter snow. I want to be with you too, Seno-kun. Minato's world practically explodes with joy. Yes! And just like that, the year draws to a close. As the snow melts and the first buds of spring appear, there's a feeling in the air that everything is about to change. A new semester, a new start. Standing before the school gates, Minato feels the familiar rush of nerves, but this time it's different. He's a second year now, and he's ready. He's doing the deep breathing exercises, trying to avoid the total freeze-up he had last year. He's almost got himself under control when poke. One little touch from behind sends him flying into a total panic. A new school day begins, and Minato tries to break the ice with a nervous morning greeting to Nekozane. She's as quiet as ever, but the realization hits. They're officially in the same class. Then comes the moment of truth, the seating chart. While Nekozane silently prays for any seat that isn't in the front, Minato can't help but wonder why she seems so completely unfazed by the first day jitters. Heartbreak. One look at the chart and it's clear they've ended up far apart. But Minato's gloom is quickly replaced by pure panic when he realizes he has to make a first impression on the guy sitting right next to him. With his heart hammering against his ribs, Minato forces out a loud, desperate introduction. To his relief, the other boy responds with a chill "nice to meet you," though Minato is still a nervous wreck inside. Wait, a miracle. A glimpse of a phone case sparks an instant connection over a game called Monster Final. The awkwardness vanishes as they dive into gaming strategies and exchange friend requests. While Minato is practically glowing from his new friendship, Nekozane finds her own anchor. A friendly girl named Mori-san greets her warmly, and it turns out they're seatmates. Mori-san immediately takes Nekozane under her wing, fixing her twisted ribbon and reminding her that hoodies aren't allowed at the school assembly. Together, they head off to join the rest of the students. The new social order of the classroom is set, but the scene suddenly shifts to a familiar sanctuary. In the quiet of the infirmary, a man in a white coat calls out with a suspicious tone. Busted. Nekozane has been treating the infirmary like her own private manga cafe, reading ebooks on her uncle's work tablet. He's not amused, scolding her for turning the clinic into a nap room. When asked if she and Minato had a fight, Nekozane's mood drops. She insists they're fine, but admits with a sigh that their timing is just completely off. Right before her uncle kicks her off the bed for actual patience. A quiet conversation turns awkward when a girl brings up a memory from last year. Her uncle, however, isn't in the mood for nostalgia, and he makes it very clear that in this building he's not uncle, he's sensei. Then the scene shifts to a memory. A girl spots a boy from afar and tries to track him down, but by the time she reaches his spot, he's already vanished into thin air. Refusing to give up, she heads toward the one place he always used to be. Every step up the stairs is fueled by a single hope, that he's waiting for her at his usual lunch spot. But as she sits in the silence, the memory of him floods back. She can almost see it, his bright, effortless smile, and the warmth of the moments they once shared right here. The contrast is brutal. Now she's all alone, hugging herself against the chill as cherry blossom petals drift around her like fragments of a lost time. Suddenly, we're back to the present with a total vibe shift. A new student opens the door to the photography club only to be greeted by a party popper and a guy wearing a full-blown horse mask. Seno is immediately questioning every life choice that led him here. While he's baffled by the absurdity, the club leader, Gouda, insists the horse mask is a strong impression necessary to lure in new members. As the horse mask guy recalls the trauma of being kidnapped by Gouda, the conversation turns to Zane-chan. Seno's expression darkens as he admits that he and Zane haven't really been talking lately. He tries to blame their distance on a busy schedule of exhibitions and events, but his gaze lingers on the window. His mind is elsewhere, wondering exactly what Nekozane-san is doing right now. A sudden knock at the door breaks the tension as another student arrives looking for Seno. But elsewhere, in a deserted classroom, a pair of sharp eyes suggest that someone is waiting for the perfect moment to move. An empty classroom, a sudden encounter, and a tension you could cut with a knife. Minato and Nekozane lock eyes, the silence heavy until he finally breaks it, mentioning it's been a while. But he's not just lingering. Between the clatter of desks, Minato explains he's swapping seats on the teacher's orders to help a classmate see the board better. And then, the realization hits. With a soft, hopeful smile, Minato points out the one thing that changes everything. They're next to each other again. He quickly clarifies they're more front and back than side by side, but the proximity is still electric. To break the mood, he brings up a new arrival at the cat cafe. Then, total chaos. Nekozane drops a bombshell about the new girl loving to get her butt spanked, sending Minato's brain into a full-blown meltdown. He's spiraling until the reveal she's talking about a cat. Absolute relief. The energy shifts as Nekozane whispers about last spring. A sudden flashback takes them back to the baseball field, where the air was thick with the sound of nice pitch and raw determination. Gazing at the trees, Nekozane admits she was blind to the beauty of the view back then. It took her club photography to finally see how stunning the cherry blossoms really are. Bathed in the soft glow of the window, she asks the one question that makes Minato's heart skip a beat. Would it be okay if she showed him her photos? Then she looks at him with a smile so radiant it practically stops time. Completely captivated, Minato manages to whisper that he'd love to see them. The spell is broken when she notices a tiny piece of confetti on his clothes. Not a cherry blossom, but a remnant of a party, leaving Minato stumbling over his words as she teases him. With a few extra tickets in hand, Mugi and Momo are planning a trip to Spocha. After their older acquaintance, Eri-chan, declines the invite due to work and age, Mugi realizes they have 2 spots left. She turns to Momo with a mischievous glint in her eye. She's already thinking of who to fill them. Arriving early for their outing, Momo takes charge of the texting. As she messages Seno, she can't help but feel surprised that Mugi was the one to actually invite him. But just as she starts wondering what Seno's friend might be like, a stranger's voice cuts through the air, interrupting their thoughts. A blonde stranger claims to be lost, but his intentions quickly turn suspicious. When Momo tries to pull Mugi away, the man suddenly lunges, grabbing Mugi's arm in a tight grip. His voice drops as he makes a bold, unsettling offer to make it worth her while, leaving Mugi frozen in shock. Just as the tension peaks, Seno appears like a knight in shining armor. Completely oblivious to the danger, he innocently offers to guide the stranger to the station. Momo watches in disbelief, wondering if Seno just accidentally saved them from a total creep. Mugi tries to hint that the guy was being a nuisance, but Seno is far too pure for his own good. He genuinely believes the man is just confused by the area, leaving Mugi to realize with a sigh that Seno is an absolute softie. The rest of the group arrives, including Seno's friend Naoto. While Seno remains clueless, Mugi knows exactly what the stranger's game was. After a quick apology from the man, the group finally gathers, ready to start their day. Enter Naoto Takada, who starts off friendly enough until he opens his mouth. One wrong name is all it takes to flip the mood instantly. By calling her Usagi-san, he manages to trigger Mugi's temper, and suddenly the friendly introduction feels more like a declaration of war. Despite the friction, the excitement for Spocha takes over. Seno's genuine gratitude for the invitation brings a sweet, quiet moment between him and Momo. As they approach the ticket counter, the group's dynamic is a chaotic mix of sweetness and simmering rivalry. Confidence is high, but Naoto's sense of direction is non-existent. He leads the charge right into a wall, earning a sharp correction from Mugi, but the mistakes end there as the group hits ground 2 and the real action begins with a satisfying swish of a basketball. The competitive fire is lit. Mugi and Naoto are locked in a fierce basketball battle, with a drink on the line and insults flying. Meanwhile, Seno has already hit his limit, left wheezing and exhausted on the floor while the girls watch his struggle with a mix of pity and amusement. Zero stamina. The group tries to keep the energy up, but Minato and Nekozane are completely wiped out. From basketball to table tennis, darts, and bowling, they're pushing through a whirlwind of activities just to keep the day going. But then comes a surprise victory. Nekozane manages to beat the blonde boy's score, sparking a moment of pure excitement. In the heat of the win, she and Minato share a sudden, electric high five. Usagihara can't believe what she's seeing. She remembers how standoffish Nekozane used to be, but now the vibe has completely shifted. It's becoming painfully obvious that Minato is becoming a huge part of her life. While Usagihara watches, Nekozane is lost in her own world. She quietly rubs her chest, her expression softening as she feels a strange fluttering sensation in her heart. The group settles into the lively chatter of the game center, the noise swirling around them. Just as they relax, a voice cuts through the commotion, calling out to Usagihara. Minato, ever the gentleman, offers to get Usagihara a drink while he heads out with Takada, but as he smiles kindly, Usagihara looks on with a conflicted, heavy expression. A clumsy encounter follows as Usagihara catches Takada wandering near the staff area. He tries to play it off by pretending to be lost, but Usagihara sees right through his transparent excuse. Then the conversation takes a sharp, unexpected turn. Takada stops in his tracks and drops a bombshell question. Does Usagihara actually dislike Minato? Usagihara tries to play it cool, but Takada's intuition hits a nerve. He teases her, suggesting her annoyance is just her imagination, leaving her completely flustered and speechless. Suddenly, the mood flips from teasings to urgent. Usagihara grabs Takada's arm with surprising force, ignoring his complaints about needing the restroom and ordering him to hide immediately. A desperate please hangs in the air, but the heavy mood is suddenly shattered by the sound of other girls laughing nearby. The tension breaks as the girl reveals a painful memory, a falling out with a friend from middle school. The boy can only offer an awkward "oh my" as the air turns thick with discomfort. It wasn't just simple drama. Baseless rumors had pushed everyone away, leaving only one person, Mugi-chan, who stayed by her side and treated her the same as always. To shift the mood, the conversation turns to Seno and Nekozane-san. The boy doesn't hold back, predicting that the two are bound to end up dating eventually. But that prediction hits a nerve. Even though she's been Mugi-chan's closest friend for years, seeing her drift toward Seno leaves her feeling devastatingly lonely and unable to be truly happy for them. She knows Seno is a good guy and doesn't want to be an obstacle, but she can't stop the jealousy. In a moment of raw self-reflection, she admits to herself that she has an awful personality. Just then, the boy cuts through her self-loathing with a smile, pointing out that someone with a truly terrible personality would never actually admit to it. Then comes the line that changes everything. He looks her in the eye and drops a bombshell. She and Seno are actually pretty similar. Ha! The girl is completely blindsided by the comparison. She tries to brush it off and make a quick escape to the bathroom, but the question keeps looping in her head. In what way could they possibly be similar? As she walks away, she's left spiraling. Similar to Seno, she's convinced there's no way, but the seed of doubt has already been planted. Out of nowhere, a girl with a ponytail asks Seno-kun a question that catches him off guard. Has he ever played baseball? He admits he only knows the basic rules, but she's just as clueless, claiming she's never played either. According to her, that makes them the perfect pair for whatever she has planned. With a soft look, she makes her request simple. She just wants him to keep her company for a little while. Seno can only stare, completely blindsided by the sudden invitation. The result? Absolute chaos. Both of them swing and miss with pathetic precision, leaving them open to the brutal honesty of a watching friend who just laughs in their faces, declaring that they both completely suck. Flashback a few minutes. The girl Momo didn't just want company, she wanted a match. The rules are simple. First to hit 10 balls wins. But the stakes are high. The loser has to reveal an embarrassing story they've never told anyone else. Seno reluctantly agrees, though he's barely holding the bat correctly and doubts this contest proves anything. When a voice points out how similar he and Momo are, she immediately shuts it down in her head. There is no way that's true. Seno's struggle is real, swinging wildly and missing every single shot. Momo finally points out the obvious. Is he seriously swinging with his eyes closed this whole time? Realizing his mistake, Seno desperately tells himself to just keep his eyes open. It's a total disaster. Seno collapses into a state of pure despair, panting and realizing that even bunting can't save him. Meanwhile, Momo is on a roll, sending balls flying with effortless hits. Momo tries to be encouraging, but internally she's already getting the hang of it. Just as the blonde boy cheers her on, a sudden competitive fire ignites in her. She glares at Seno, declaring she absolutely will not lose to him, leaving him completely bewildered. Nearly an hour later, the score is devastating. Momo has 7 hits and Seno has 0. Seeing him wheezing and exhausted, Momo softens, suggesting they call it quits since she was the one who forced this on him. But as Seno grips the bat, he gives a single firm answer: no. Sweating and strained, Seno's eyes show a new level of determination as he insists on keeping going. Momo is stunned by his sudden resolve, but she agrees. The battle continues, even if it's mostly just the sound of more pathetic misses. Minato is failing miserably at the batting cages, his clumsy swings making him a bit of a spectacle. Watching from the side, Nekozane can't help but notice that he's always been like this, awkward and completely unable to hide his true self. The mood shifts as Nekozane brings up a haunting question from their past. Why did he once wonder where he'd be if he had no friends? Minato admits the painful truth. Back in middle school, his anxiety was so paralyzing that he could barely speak to anyone. A lonely memory of a silent classroom flashes by, highlighting the isolation he once felt. Seeing his vulnerability, Nekozane asks the one question that cuts through the noise, is that why he's trying so hard now. The air grows heavy as she tells him that's how it looks to her. For the first time, Minato doesn't try to deflect, he simply admits that she might be right. He opens up about his desperate attempts to reinvent himself. The contacts, the loose uniform, all just a mask for the zero confidence he felt inside. He realized too late that you can't just change your soul overnight. Then comes the bombshell. Minato admits the darkest part of his heart. He's always hated himself. Listening to him, Nekozane realizes they are far more similar than she ever imagined. A flashback reveals a different side of her feelings. She used to despise him, seeing his genuine and straightforward nature as blinding, and feeling like he was stealing her friend away. But looking back, she realizes she was completely wrong. The walls finally come down. She softly admits that he's just like her, and Minato agrees. Even she confesses to having moments where she can't stand who she is. But then a brutal confession drops. She admits she initially thought he was a creep, and that her offer of friendship was a total lie. Overwhelmed by the truth, she tells him she's really sorry. Minato's reaction is a total mood. He's not mad, just profoundly sad. And seeing that heartbroken face, it hits Nekozane like a physical blow. The guilt is absolutely crushing. The air is thick with awkwardness as a girl delivers a gentle but firm blow. She doesn't see the blonde boy that way anymore. Despite the rejection, she admits she was genuinely happy to be invited, feeling like she's finally moving forward in her life, one small step at a time. But this growth didn't happen in a vacuum. She reveals that her newfound confidence, from joining the photography club to talking to strangers, is all thanks to the inspiration she found in Nekozane-san. Watching this, Minato's heart swells with a sudden fierce resolve. He doesn't just want to be there if she's in trouble. He wants to stay by her side, no matter what. A shimmering memory of two friends sharing a laugh over a phone confirms the depth of the bond. To her, this isn't just a casual connection. It's a dear, precious friendship. Then reality hits, hard. Minato is back in the batting cage, and it's clear his coordination is practically non-existent as the balls just bounce away from him. Wait, did that actually happen? With a sudden burst of energy, Minato finally connects with the ball, sending it flying forward for the first time. He's practically collapsing from the sheer relief of finally hitting one, while the girl can't help but giggle at his excitement. The girl teases him for getting way too excited, though she admits the hit was actually pretty amazing. As they wrap up, the mood turns playful, with the two of them trading jabs about embarrassing stories. But just as the mood softens, she stops in her tracks. Her voice turns sharp, delivering a warning that freezes Minato in place. If he ever makes Mugi-chan cry, there will be no forgiveness. With a cheerful wave, the blonde boy bids them farewell. The group splits up with Mugi-chan and the boy heading off together, leaving a bewildered Minato behind. As they walk away, the blonde boy reveals his true game. He knows exactly what he's doing by leaving Minato and the other girl alone, noting that he and Minato are far more similar than they realize. A strange shift in emotion takes hold as the boy realizes he can no longer bring himself to hate the other guy, feeling an inexplicable sense of kinship. Meanwhile, the girl struggles with her own role. She isn't ready to be a wing woman, but she decides that as long as Mugi-chan is treated right, she can accept him. For her, Mugi-chan's happiness is the only thing that truly matters. But as the silence lingers, a question that's been eating at her finally slips out, leaving the boy completely bewildered. She tentatively asks if they've met before, but he immediately flips the script with a smug grin, asking if she's hitting on him. Absolutely mortified, she snaps back in a panic and storms off, cursing herself for even asking. The mood softens as she calls him out, noting that despite his act, he's clearly just looking out for his dear friend. The boy's expression turns genuine as he gives her a warm smile, calling her a truly nice person, Usagihara-san. That one sincere compliment sends her into a blushing meltdown, and her only defense is a sudden violent smack to his face. As he reels from the blow in total shock, she ironically tells him to stop the violence, leaving him to realize she's one feisty bunny.